The old man glanced at him and said, "Do you want to fight? If you want to find someone, don't push me." With that, he stopped talking to him. The old men in the West are very angry. They used to like to fight with each other when they were alive. Now we haven't seen each other for a long time. As a militant, apart from caring about the demons, it's natural to fight. Well, third, stop it. The old man in the north looked very kind. He seemed to be the most reliable one among the four races. As soon as he opened his mouth, the old man immediately shut up. Well, I didn't expect that after so many years, they were still allowed to come out. The old man sighed and said, "I just don't know if there will be anyone in the three realms who can hold them in such a war." As soon as the words came out, the four fell into silence one after another. They were the few people who survived the battle. In fact, they only survived a soul. After the war, they were divided into four directions: southeast, northwest of the upper border, guarding their own things and preventing them from repeating mistakes at any time. Over the years, there has been no major event, no matter in the human world or in the upper world. Even if something like the Beast Gate happened, they did not intervene. But now they have to do it. I already know all about the Cloud family. If it's not unexpected, it's those forces that Miss Yun met that day to take her husband away, but I can't figure out why they would suddenly attack a human who hasn't moved for many days," said the old man of the north. The Oriental old man said, "I have a look. The young lady of the Cloud family is not an ordinary person. Her destined lover is Nanganji of the Nangong family, so although I haven't met her, I have met Nanganji. After all, the girl of the Cloud family is not a mortal. Now she has been taken away. I'm afraid that the one who took him away is our target." "No way," the Western elder retorted immediately. "Haven't you heard of it? The way given to them by the man who took him away is to let these people look for treasure. If he is really one of those people and it's too late to avoid us, how can he bump into us directly?" What the Western elders said is very reasonable. For a moment, others are not sure. It doesn't make sense. Since he knows the existence of these four treasures, he must also know our existence. It must be a demon. But if he is really a demon, why should he disturb us? The four looked at each other, and no one could tell why. The most urgent thing is to find Miss Yun. As long as you find her, you will know everything. The southern elder said seriously. Besides, she still has children in her stomach. Although they didn't say it, I suspect that the girl's coma may have something to do with her child. Otherwise, she shouldn't have been in a coma for so long due to multiple injuries. I'm afraid that child. The old Westerner didn't go on talking about the following words, but all the people on the scene understood it, and all of them were shocked and nodded seriously. "Let's go and tell the people of the Cloud family now that we want to help them find the girl." Then the old man stood up. Several people looked at each other and followed each other. Outside, although Yunchi has been dealing with the affairs of the Cloud family, her mind is always on the four old people. The four old people have extraordinary skills. Yunchi is afraid that they won't want to, and then she will become confused again. Upset, in the face of a table to deal with things, Yunchi stands up and paces back and forth in the room. "Master, the four old men asked to see you outside the door." A sound of announcement came, which sounded like the sound of nature to Yunchi. "See you? Are you confused? Why don't you invite people in as soon as possible?" Yunchi said anxiously, for fear of neglecting the four elders. Before finishing a word, the whole person went directly to the door. At the door, four old people are standing at the door, smiling and waiting for him. Surprised, Yunchi quickly welcomes the man in. "Don't be so formal," the old man in the west said with a smile. "Let's all go down first. There are some things we want to talk about with you alone." Yunchi nodded, and then immediately let all the people around him retreat, and the study was quiet. In the face of these four strong men, Yunchi doesn't feel any pressure. "What do you want from the four elders?" The four elders looked at each other, but the southern elders were the most impatient. They said, "Listen, old man, we are going to help you." As soon as the words came out, Yunchi was stunned. It took a long time for him to understand what he meant by being willing to help him. Then he was surprised. He was even called old man, without any dissatisfaction. "Would you like to help me find my granddaughter?" The Western elder raised his hand, stopped the Southern elder who still wanted to speak, and said with a smile, "My third brother is a bit reckless. Please don't blame him." "That's right. For some reasons it's not easy. It's just that we can't let you know now. After discussion, we decided to help, but we need a few more things." The surprised Yunqi just had calmed down. The night before he suddenly appeared to help them, but he took Yunwu away. These old people also suddenly appeared, saying that they wanted to help them, but they were not willing to say their purpose. For a moment, Yunqi is a little uncertain. He just falls for it once. If he falls for it again, he doesn't know what will happen. It seems that the old man in the west saw Yunqi's mind, so he said, "You don't have to worry too much. What I need is just to find what people need. It's not rare, and it won't take away the experts here. And the reason we are willing to help is not for you, just to explore some potential dangers. We can guarantee that we can bring your granddaughter back safely, okay?" After hearing this, Yunqi finally nodded and said, "Okay, what do you need? As long as I can find it, I will try my best to find it." Haha. The old man in the west laughed. "Don't be so troublesome. It's just some small things. I need 4 things. The first one is the personal goods of the girl of the Cloud family. Isn't that hard?" Yunqi was stunned. He didn't expect it to be so simple. The Cloud family is also the home of Cloud Dance. It's very convenient to find some personal things. This is very simple. What about the other 3? The second is a drop of blood from the relatives of your Cloud family, and that girl who have direct blood relationship. This is not difficult, let alone a drop of blood. Even if it takes my life, I have no objection." Yunqi said seriously. "No, the blood I want is directly related to that girl, such as her mother." The Western old man said, "We need to do something to find her. Naturally, the closer these things are, the greater the hope will be. There is a generation between you and her, so the effect will have an impact." This. Yunqi frowned and said, "To be honest, Xiaowu's mother disappeared after she was born. I really can't get her blood." The 4 elders didn't expect that there was such a thing. They all doubted the identity of Lianyun Dance. Their eyes crossed each other, and they all saw a guess in each other's eyes. Is it hard to be even this girl's identity? Well, without her mother's blood, so can her father's, said the old man. Yunqi nodded and said, "Her father is out looking for her whereabouts, and there is no result until now. I'll send someone to tell him, and let him come back as soon as possible. The third thing, we need the blood of her 3 contract animals. Each contract animal only needs to give a drop of blood." After thinking about it, Yunqi felt that there was no problem. The Western elder continued to talk about it. The fourth thing is for me." The Southern elder stood up directly. "I want a personal thing for her husband." "The dragon is evil?" Yunqi said in surprise. The old man frowned. "Why do you want him?" The old man in the south naturally said, "It's enough for you 3 to look for that girl. I'm very interested in her husband. What kind of person can be taken away directly, just like disappearing in the world? I want something close to him. Maybe I can bring him back with me." The other elders shook their heads helplessly. The 4 of them had their own abilities and ways to find people, so they needed 4 things closest to each other. However, they didn't expect that the Southern elder wanted to find the dragon. But if you think about it, it's possible. "Master, this." Cloud Chi frowned and said, "Just listen to him." "The 4th thing is her husband's personal belongings." The old man said, "Maybe you can find your grandson-in-law together." As soon as Yunqi's eyes brightened, he quickly said, "If that's true, I'll write more about my predecessors." Haha. The old man touched his beard and said, "Go down and make arrangements. We will send those things to us as soon as possible in the next 2 days. We will start as soon as possible." "Good." Cloud Chi says, excited, go down to issue an order to go. Yunqi's speed is very fast. That afternoon he collected 3 kinds of things. The next day, when he received the news, Yunlingyi came back immediately. Originally in the human world, he naturally came back soon. As soon as he came back, he was pulled by Yunqi to bleed. After collecting the 4 things, Yunqi directly sent them to the 4 elders. for things for old people took one. I didn't expect the speed to be so fast. In that case, we will start immediately today. The old man in the south said with the dragon's evil things. How many of you are going to leave? Cloud Cold Elung once said. Originally, I thought that they would find their whereabouts in the same way as Nangong family, but now it seems that they are going to leave with something? What if I don't come back? Yes. The old man in the west said with a smile. I'm going too. Small Stink said. I also want to find them. You just left. Do you want us to do nothing here? Nangong Yi and others around didn't speak, but looking at their eyes, they felt that they also thought so, and they couldn't just wait to die. Don't worry. We have our own way to look for them. And I guess the place they stay is not suitable for you. After all strength, and only the four of us can find them as quickly as possible, said the old man. With these words, everyone finally said nothing more. Everyone knew their own strength. If they went together, it would certainly have an impact. You don't have to. I'll wait and say goodbye. When the Western elder saw that they were all pacified, he left a sentence like this. And then the figure of the four disappeared directly in front of the crowd. In fact, what they didn't say is that they not only need to find Yunwu to bring her back, but also need to find the whereabouts of Longqingxi. If things are really the same as what they expected, if they don't do it, the consequences will be unimaginable. At the entrance of the dark place, Yunwu stood at the door, with a huge stomach and a big knife. She looked at the knight in front of her, cold as ice. Cloud Dance frowns. Guwu's sword is in his hand, and he stares at the knight in front of him warily. The dark smell of the knight in front of him is stronger than ever. When he stands in front of Cloud Dance and looks at Cloud Dance, he smiles with evil spirits. See, the knight is not moved at all. Cloud Dance frowns. Knight, you say a condition. How can let me go? However, in front of the knight is a light look, looking at the Cloud Dance alert look, a smile helpless. Cloud Dance, clearly is a good friend. Why do so stiff? Good friend. Yunwu sneered. She held the sword tightly in her hand, and the purple fighting spirit immediately enveloped her whole body. She sent out a strong murderous atmosphere, and her whole body was on high alert. I don't have a good friend like you. Hearing this, she couldn't help laughing and said, Yunwu, there's still a little time for the baby to be born. If you don't listen now, you will be out in the future. If you have any problems, don't blame me again. Of course not. If something goes wrong with my child, I'll be responsible for it myself. Cloud Dance sneers. So are you willing to let me go now? Gently shook his head, the knight sighed. Yunwu, you know, I will not let you go today, so you'd better give up the idea of leaving. Cloud Dance eyebrows a cold. Suddenly will Guwu big knife clench, tightly pursed lips, rushed to the knight in front of. Because of giving birth to a child, her physical strength is obviously not as good as before, and her heavy stomach hinders her action, but her speed of wielding a knife is not slow at all. The big knife is wrapped with fighting spirit, and cuts towards the knight's head at a high speed. But the knight just stood there, helpless smile, like a joke on a disobedient child. Suddenly his figure disappeared in front of Yunwu. Before Yunwu could react, the voice of the knight suddenly appeared behind Yunwu. Yunwu, I have said don't use force, don't be angry, it's not good for the child. Cloud Dance heart, you deceive me for so long. How can you deceive me again? But before she left here, it is impossible to say so, because Cloud Dance don't know if knight after understanding how to her. He quickly dodged, and then a strong wind flew from Yunwu's cheek. Then Yunwu's heart tightened, and his cheek hair had been cut off too. Suddenly, a bloodstain appeared on Yunwu's cheek. How fast? Yunwu narrowed his eyes and looked at the black-robed man standing in front of him. He saw that his dark breath was more and more strong. Now the dark breath disgusted Yunwu and he couldn't help waving his knife. Knight also narrowed his eyes, but the corner of his mouth is a touch of light smile, flashback, just to avoid the cloud of the knife. Cloud Dance does not yield, continue to wave a knife, but the knight continues to avoid. The body is not as good as before, just waving two knives. Yunwu is already out of breath. Looking up at the knight in front of him, Yunwu frowned and said, If you don't let her go today, you will fight with him to death. Have you had enough of Cloud Dance? Knight suddenly joked. And then, before Yunwu could react, Knight had already come to Yunwu. reached for Yunwu's hand, and threw her knife to the ground. Yunwu was defeated at all, and was subdued easily by the knight. He pushed Sangsang all the way from the entrance of the cave to bring Yunwu back to the dark place. Next to the boulder, it was a very cold and dark place, which made Yunwu a little desperate. Looking at the knight in front of him, he didn't say a word, but his whole body was cold and murderous. Yunwu, okay, don't continue to monkey around. You need to know that this child is the child of you and the dragon. Are you willing to kill your child? Cloud danced heart bitter, looking down at his stomach. But now the stomach of another child, how to do? Is it true to let the children of dark constitution be born, and the children of bright constitution die? Of course not, but if I don't leave here again, I'm afraid my baby will be born and there will be no mother. Yunwu said coldly. The energy of the dark place made Yunwu very uncomfortable, but she was silent. So, the baby will be born soon. You'd better stick to it. I don't think you can die. Night haha laughs, patted lightly Cloud Dance's shoulder. Well, you go. I'll be by myself. Cloud Dance tired close eyes, not only body tired, heart more tired. Night see Cloud Dance seems really no longer struggling, silent for a while, turned away. In the dark, there is another cloud dancing person left. In the dark, her breathing is echoing, cold and piercing, penetrating her heart. It's ridiculous. The reason for the night is too high-sounding. Yunwu sits under the stone and covers her stomach. Bursts of cold and fatigue rush to her whole body, which makes her even lazy to move. Close your eyes and night fighting tired. Let her finally can't hold, gradually sleep in the past. When she woke up again, the first thing she saw was a face of night in the dark. Night sitting next to Yunwu, looking at Yunwu with a smile. Are you awake? Come and eat. Yunwu's heart sank. Today's maid did not come. This person actually sat beside Yunwu, waiting for her to wake up, and the meal was also brought by him and put in front of Yunwu. Cloud Dance brow tight wrinkly in difference way. How this time change pattern? You misunderstood, Yunwu. I'm just worried that my maid can't take care of you, so I'll take care of you myself, she said with a smile. Cloud Dance snorts coldly in her heart. You come to take care of me yourself. I'm afraid you'll watch me yourself. You're afraid that your maid won't be able to fight me. That's why you're taking the place of your maid now. And the baby will be born soon. I'm afraid you're going to start first. However, Yunwu didn't say anything, because the current situation is very bad for her. The knight unfolds the food box in front of Yunwu, and puts all the food in it in front of Yunwu. Yunwu rejects the food from the knight, but now for self-protection. But with a sigh, Yunwu picked up chopsticks and ate the food in front of him. However, although there is a lot of food, Yunwu doesn't know what to eat, but he is worried about what to do if the child is born. He slowly ate the food in front of him. Yunwu's stomach was not so uncomfortable. He put down his chopsticks and looked up at the knight and said, I think you can go. Next time, you don't have to trouble the night master. Just ask your servants to give me something. Knight chuckles twice, seems to be very happy, did not continue to speak, just packed the box, turned and left. For some reason, Cloud Dance has an ominous feeling. Because the stone is too cold and the dark energy is too thick, Yunwu can only sit under the stone, slightly reduce the dark energy intake, close his eyes, look at the dying baby in his stomach, and divide the source of life to him. This time, the little guy didn't absorb it quickly as usual, but slowly as if his breath was also weak. Sure enough, the child was very weak. If you don't enter the environment of Tao light energy, you may die. Heart is very tangled. Patiently will be the source of life to the baby to support his life, but heard of footsteps. Yunwu opened his eyes and looked up. The night came in again. Yunwu, in order to take care of you better, I decided to live here with you in the last few days. In this way, it will be more conducive for me to observe your situation. If anything happens, I'll make preparations in advance. Knight said particularly sincere, but Yunwu did not pay any attention, who do not know what your heart, under the banner of care, is actually to monitor their own. Whatever you want. Yunwu was a little discouraged. He just sat there and didn't say a word. The knight laughs and sits beside Yunwu. The dark atmosphere makes Yunwu feel very uncomfortable. She has to frown, close her eyes and say nothing. Night really stayed next to Yunwoo. He was still wearing a black robe, but he was more indifferent than Yunwoo. He didn't seem to feel the cold and depression here. In the whole dark place, Yunwoo was the only one, but the night suddenly appeared. Instead of feeling comfortable, Yunwoo felt miserable, and was always on guard for fear that the night would do something to him. But the night didn't care at all. He sat down beside the boulder leisurely, and then got up to walk around. It was obvious that Yunwoo was about to give birth. He didn't intend to be monitored by others, but came to the scene himself. In this way, it would reduce the possibility of all bad things and prevent Yunwoo from escaping. Yunwoo didn't expect that Night should attach so much importance to the child. Sitting on the edge of the boulder, Yunwoo sits cross-legged and closes her eyes tightly. Yunwoo wants to seize all the time to improve herself and keep herself in the best condition. However, there is one thing that makes Yunwoo very confused. She doesn't understand the value of the child for the Night. Night tried every means to get the child, even at the expense of cheating and forcible kidnapping, even regardless of the death of another child, forced Yunwoo to give birth to the child, so the child with dark constitution must be very important to Night. Always feel that the Night is planning something unknown. And now Night so try to imprison himself here, must have been planning for a long time. When she thought about this, Yunwoo suddenly felt a thump in her heart, because she suddenly thought that when she was on the top of the desert, she gave Yunwoo the key of earth power for no reason. At that time, she thought that this person might also hate the Beast Gate, and express support for what she had done, which was also a contribution to her plan. However, when I think about it now, Yunwoo can't help but frown and look gloomy. Maybe at that time, Yi had expected everything in the future, including that she would kill Shangguanzhong, destroy the Beast Gate, and then cultivate the right fruit with the dragon to give birth to the child. And he is also very willing to see this result, because this child is his purpose as a kind-hearted person for a long time. With this in mind, Yunwoo suddenly feels that the temperature around her has dropped suddenly, and she has goosebumps. The man around her is too deep. Thinking of the current situation and the attitude of the night before, Yunwoo suddenly feels ominous. She can't help but turn her head and look at the handsome man with closed eyes. The man sitting on the edge of the stone, who doesn't move. When Yunwoo's eyes touch him, she seems to feel Yunwoo looking at him. She suddenly opens her eyes, turns to Yunwoo, and then smiles. Cloud Dance can't help but frown, quickly turn his head, and close his eyes. In my heart, I can't help but wonder, if he can really predict so many things, what kind of existence is this person? So far, Yunwoo's understanding of Night is limited to some things on the top of the desert. Although he was confused in his heart, on the surface, Yunwoo still sat there quietly and practiced meticulously, passing his life source to the baby for him to live, and then continued to increase his cultivation. But Yunwoo didn't dare to sleep, because Yunwoo was afraid of what he would do to himself after he fell asleep, so he stayed up all night. When Yunwoo opens her eyes again and turns her head, she sees the Night sitting by her side and looking at Yunwoo with her eyes open. This makes Yunwoo feel cold and sweaty. This person seems to have been sleeping and monitoring himself all the time. Yunwoo took a deep breath and closed her eyes, but she felt uncomfortable, because she always felt that there was a pair of eyes around her, looking at her without blinking. In this way, the long time of Cloud Dance is spent in a daze. When you open your eyes again, the whole dark place is full of black energy. Cloud Dance can already distinguish it. Now is the night, when the dark energy is the strongest, and the giant baby in Cloud Dance's belly is the most active. She lowers her head to touch her stomach. How the child moves in her stomach can be clearly detected by Yunwoo. When she opens her eyes, she still looks at herself with a smile on her face. Yunwoo feels chilly. She frowns and breathes. She is going to continue to practice with her eyes closed. Yunwoo, did you sleep well? How are you feeling now? Night came forward and looked at Yunwoo carefully. It felt like a husband was looking at his wife who was pregnant in October. But Yunwoo frowned and turned to avoid. You stay away from me. Night haha a smile, stand up, carrying both hands, standing beside the boulder. Lord Night, I'm here to deliver the meal. At the entrance, a woman's figure came down from above. It was dark. She moved slowly, as if afraid of falling down. Yunwu opened her eyes and saw that a strange face slowly came to them by the yellow candle. Lord Knight, I'm here. Please have dinner. Put the things in your food box on the ground a little bit, and look around. It's obvious that it's a novelty to be here for the first time. Yunwu also opened his eyes, looked at the things on the ground, pursed his mouth and frowned. After thinking for a while, he went to sit down, picked up chopsticks and ate. Surprised, he turned around and said with a smile, Yunwu, why are you so obedient today? Yunwu frowned tightly, and there was no extra expression fluctuation on his cold face, so he continued to eat vegetables. Why are you obedient? Just need to save physical strength. Cloud Dance just won't be silly enough to be angry to starve herself. She is ready to leave everything. Knight see Cloud Dance ignore him, also not angry, just laughing. Eat. Yunwu looks at the maid in front of her. She's a new face. I'm afraid that maid has been killed by Knight's people. Lower your head and take a small bite of the food into your mouth. After dinner, the knight let the maid pack things back, and he continued to stay in Yunwu's side. Because she can barely eat, Yunwu maintains the most basic physical strength. She still does not give up. She is still looking for an opportunity to leave here. Continue to close your eyes and practice. The baby with bright constitution in his belly is not optimistic. He feels that his breath is weak. He hastens to get the source of his life. Yunwu feels dizzy in his head. If he goes on like this, his source of life will be exhausted, and I'm afraid his oil lamp will be exhausted. But from that day on, the night of cloud dancing is not so good. When she goes to bed at night, the dark energy of the whole dark place is the most abundant. The cold black fog is full of all around, which makes Yunwu feel depressed and cold. Yunwu is very uncomfortable. She feels something pressing on her heart, which makes her depressed and breathless. She continued to sit on the boulder, absorbing the dark energy to supply the giant baby, and continued to separate the source of life to the baby. But unexpectedly, the two children, as if they were suddenly hurt by something, kept making noise in her stomach. Suddenly a burst of colic. Let Cloud Dance can't help but cry out, involuntarily curled up together. Is it going to have a baby? Yunwu frowned painfully, and her stomach activity was very obvious. Yunwu glanced at her stomach with Yuguang, and could see her stomach moving. She was tired and lying on the boulder, breathing deeply to calm herself down. But there is no way. The belly of the child is more active. Wave after wave of pain and suffocation swept. Let Cloud Dance tired, sweating, but can't sleep. Plus Cloud Dance will be every day to the baby's source of life. So now the body loss is very big. At this time, it is close to collapse. Tired to open his eyes, looking at his stomach, vomit, how just solved a problem, followed by the emergence of this kind of problem, really make the head big. There was no sleep all night, until the strong dark atmosphere turned to light. Yunwu finally came out from the pain, suddenly relieved, drowsy, and then fell asleep. The next day, however, night arrived as scheduled. Yunwu's stomach began to stir up again. The day yesterday was even more intense. She was exhausted. With her eyes closed, her forehead was full of sweat, and her whole body was soaked with sweat. Yunwu didn't know how to deal with it, so she had to let the children in her stomach continue to stir up, and then get through the hard night. This night is more painful than every day before. Just thinking about this, Yunwu suddenly felt that a pair of warm palms were slowly attached to Yunwu's stomach, and then a stream of energy poured in from these hands. When Yunwu opened her eyes, she saw that Knight's hands were pressing on her belly, and a dark force slowly entered Yunwu's belly, with the transpiration of black, which was a little depressing and terrible. But the baby in her stomach suddenly calms down. This feeling makes Yunwu feel relaxed. She is a little sleepy. Just when her eyes open and close, she can't think, but her heart suddenly sinks. This man will never be so kind to relieve his pain. What does he want to do? Looking up at the knight in front of him angrily, I saw that knight was obsessed with looking at his stomach. There was always a kind of love in his eyes, which was about to be a father. He was smiling and his eyes were full of infatuation. However, this child was not his at all. Yunwu gnashes her teeth and glares, but she still transmits energy to her stomach. Yunwu's heart is not good. He believes that since the knight chooses to stay in the dark, it will not leave a bright baby, so he looks inside his body, but found that the power of the night into the body, although it can really make the dark constitution of the baby quiet down, but another child seems to be hurt, suddenly fierce struggle. The child struggled very hard, but because he was too thin and small, he didn't feel much in his stomach. He rolled left and right, and his belly involved in Yunwu also hurt slightly. But this situation, let Cloud Dance understand, this person, now is to kill another child in disguise. No. How can I see my child killed in my stomach? Yunwu almost choked with anger. She opened her eyes and glared at the knight, but the knight didn't seem to feel it. Suddenly, in the heart of a rage and murderous straight to the top of the head, Yunwu's hand in his side to touch, finally touched a sharp stone, without saying a word, mercilessly to his stomach that hand. Resentment in her heart. If she can do it now, she will take out Gu Wu's sword and solve the knight with one knife, but now, it is obviously not very realistic. The knight was immersed in love, but suddenly felt something coming. Almost out of instinct, she raised her hand and grabbed the stone that was rowing to her hand. She turned her head and looked at Yunwu and asked, "Yunwu, why are you suffering?" Yunwu didn't speak, but his hand was caught by the knight, but he couldn't get away from it. In his heart, he was angry, and suddenly burst out a fight to attack the knight's hand. But unexpectedly, the knight also returned to strength. As soon as they collided with each other, Yunwu was defeated immediately, and his spirit was also dispirited. Don't struggle. Knight Hook mouth a smile. Cloud Dance disappointed closed his eyes. Late at night, the surrounding dark elements become very rich again. Cloud Dance and the knight's eyes quietly go to their own position to lie down, turn over to pretend to sleep. After a long time, I heard the footsteps of the knight gradually moving away, followed by the voice of knowing the rate. I remembered that Yunwu felt that the knight was lying down, and then I quietly breathed a sigh of relief. In the dark environment, Yunwu only feels that his future is dark, and secretly passes some of the source of life to another child in his stomach. Yunwu's mouth shows a wry smile. This may be the last time I give you the source of my life. Cloud Dance sad thought. Clearly feel that the child in a few days ago seems to be a little weaker. There are about 2 days to give birth. If you can't think of a way, then the belly of another child can only die. Yunwu gave a bitter smile in his heart, but at this time, he suddenly got up in the night when he just lay down, and his clear cold drink came from the dark room. Who? Yunwu's heart trembled. And then he sat up, looking at the knight with a defensive face, for fear that he would do something, but the knight's attention was not on her at all. The whole person stood up vigilantly, looking around with a defensive face, as if someone had appeared. Now that you have come, why hide? Don't show up. Yunwu looks at the knight inexplicably. She feels it carefully, but she doesn't feel any other breath except for the endless power of darkness. However, it doesn't look like pretending to look at the knight. What do you mean? Cloud Dance finally began to ask. Who knows this knight is not in the whole other pattern? Knight looked at her, eyes some complex, moved his lips, but did not explain anything to her, but said, "Be careful, someone broke in, it may be for you." For me? Cloud Dance was surprised. Isn't this your world? How could anyone break in? After living here for so many days, Yunwu has long known clearly that it is difficult for such a strong element of dark power to be naturally generated, so it is most likely that the man-made boundary, and that's what Night says. These days, I feel that the strength of Night is not what I used to think. On the contrary, it is very powerful. Yunwu knows in her heart that even in her heyday, she may not be able to fight. But now the border he set has been broken in silently. Yunwu even doubts whether it's the Night that is a bit nervous. So it's an illusion, but it doesn't look like it's wrong to look at the Night. But then an old voice appeared. I didn't expect you to be a deserter. You escaped at the beginning, but now you come out to make trouble, right? Cloud Dance tightened eyebrows. Don't understand what this sentence means. And then look at the Night, see his face indifferent, seems to have no response to the old voice. I didn't expect you to come so fast. The sound of the Night is faint. According to his plan, he let the experts of Cloud family go to find things, which will naturally wake up some people. But what he didn't expect is that these people came so fast, and they found the place of Cloud Dance in a short time. According to his original plan, it will take at least 3 or 4 days. At that time, when the child of Cloud Dance was born, his plan will be completed. Even if it's normal, it doesn't help to find these people. And I can use them to accomplish some things that I should have done, but now, Yunwu hasn't given birth yet, so they find it here, and all their plans are disrupted. Taking a deep breath at night, he turned his head and looked at Yunwu with complicated eyes. He said, "Protect the child in your stomach, be careful of people." Cloud Dance heart clatter. Although don't understand why he said so, but Cloud Dance intuition night this reminder is true, also serious, now carefully protect his stomach. Then after the end of the night, a figure appeared in front of the two. This person is the Western old man. Soul body. Yunwu was surprised to be born, and his mental condition reflex was detected. But before he came into contact with the old man, he felt a strong pressure on himself. Yunwu snorted. She almost fainted because of a severe headache. But after shaking for a while, she stabilized herself. If she fainted here now, I don't know what would happen. If I could seize the chance, maybe I could find a chance to leave today? At the thought of this, Yunwu forced herself to cheer up. It looks like you knew we were coming. The Western old man glanced at Yunwu, said faintly to the knight, and then looked at Yunwu's stomach. Knight's eyes are still light, said, "I just did not expect you will find here so soon." After a pause, the knight's body tilted slightly, blocking the Western old man's view of Yunwu, and then said, "But it's okay, even if you find here ahead of time, it doesn't make any difference to me. What's more, it's useless if you come alone." "Is it?" The old man in the West laughed and said, "It's nothing to talk about. Just have a fight." Having said that, the old man's palm gently raised. A deep blue fighting character appeared in his palm. The fighting color blue-purple, almost no difference with purple. If it is not because at night, all the lights are more obvious. Otherwise it is really not clear whether it is blue or purple. I can't imagine that the old man's fighting spirit has reached such a level. Cloud Dance, some surprised, say. For such a long time, she has rarely seen the same purple fighting spirit as herself. The fighting spirit of the old man is very good. Even the officials can't match her. If she is in the human world, just with this fighting spirit, the old man will become the object of competition by various countries. Not to mention his strength is so unpredictable. With the old man's hands, Knight's eyes narrowed, showing a sense of preparedness. The body moved again, the whole person in front of the Cloud Dance. His strength is not weak. Be careful yourself. I may not be able to protect you. The knight didn't turn its head, but the voice came. The cold voice said provocative words. If someone else changed, he might be moved by the knight, but Yunwu still clearly remembered that the purpose of his doing this was for his own children. He trapped himself here, trying every means to save a child in his stomach, and trying every means to kill another child. She did not believe that night would not have its own purpose and premeditation. In front of him, after the knight explained, on the hand of the Western old man, an energy ball condensed by the blue fighting spirit flashed slightly, and then directly threw it towards the knight. The action of the Western old man seems casual, as if he just pushed something at random. The speed of the energy ball is not fast. Even just with the eyes can see his moving track, as if a lotus floating in the wind in general, gently moving towards this side. Night hand black energy condensation. In this border, all his strength has been magnified several times, in the face of the Western old master, but he is not afraid. Black power in the twinkling of an eye toward the blue ball quickly attacked in the past. It's the same as the old man, but the speed of the black energy is very fast. But in the twinkling of an eye, they came near the old man's blue energy ball, and they collided. Yunwu quickly stepped back. Before he had time to move, he felt an arm at his waist help him. With a strong pull, they directly pulled Yunwu to his arms. Then they whirled back for a long time. The deformation of Cloud Dance conditioned reflex wants to attack toward the knight, and the hand on his waist seems to be threatening the child in his stomach at any time. Cloud Dance is almost nervous, even if the knight is a little bit closer, not to mention at this time he also directly pulled himself in his arms. However, before Yunwu had any action, he felt that his arm at his waist was loose. and the knight put her down directly. At the same time, the two forces in front collided and made a loud noise. It's just the two men's casual attack, which caused a sensation as if they were fighting against Shangguanzhong. Cloud Dance pupil suddenly constricts. These two people, how fierce in the end. The smoke dispersed, and in the dark, Yunwu saw that the black energy had already disappeared, but the blue energy ball was still drifting towards this side, flying for a long distance, and finally seemed to be unable to support it. Bang was broken. When the sword came, the old man did not dodge any more. Instead, he wrapped his whole body with blue fighting spirit, forming a solid protective film. Especially on the two palms, the concentration of fighting spirit is much stronger than other places. 5 is dark blue fighting spirit, which is closer to purple at this time. Is he trying to catch the blade with nothing? I don't even show my weapon. Yunwu guessed in his heart that the sword of the knight had been sent to the old man of the west with great power. The hand wrapped by the blue fighting spirit flexibly grasped the stabbing sword under the Cloud Dance's eyes. Then, both hands moved to one side at the same time. The lower part of the body did not move, and the upper part of the body shook at will. This blow was resolved. Taiji again. Yunwu exclaimed in his heart that the old man's moves were really different. At this time the knight suddenly laughed, said, "You really step back." From the moment of contact between the two people's strength, Knight will clearly feel the strength of the old man. The sword grasped by the old man turned hard, and the black energy above suddenly burst up. Just now, I was trapped in the blue fighting spirit of my hands. Now this sudden force has exploded those hands directly, and even the blue fighting spirit of my hands has become thin. Then the sword light flickered. It was clearly a black sword, but Yunwu still clearly saw the reflected sword light. The sword shuttles between the two people, mercilessly attacking the Western elders again and again. Don't waste your efforts. You must know that you can't win. Nightlight said, the voice in the cloud's ears seems to want to tell her, don't forget to have other thoughts. Cloud Dance takes back the line of sight that puts on two people's body, slightly droops the eye, covered the anger in the eye. At this moment, she hated herself very much. Why didn't she work harder? If she had enough strength, how could she be trapped here and let others decide? The battle is not over yet, said the old man. It's not over. The corner of the knight mouth a hook. The attack on the hand is invariable, still matchless, swift and violent. That lets him end good. After that, the speed of the knight soared again, and the black sword made a sound of woo-woo between waving, as if someone was crying. The sudden attack was extremely rapid, and the pupils of the Western elders shrank suddenly. His moves are similar to Tai Chi, so no matter how fast they are, they can't be too fast. However, he is good at attacking quickly. In this way, he has no way at all. Finally, under the attack of the sword, the Western elders become more and more embarrassed, and can no longer keep up with the speed. Knight saw an opportunity, instantly seized a flaw of the Western old man, directly fly up a foot, clean kick in the Western old man's chest, will be originally steady on the ground of his hard kick fly out. Knight is so strong. Yunwu exclaimed in his heart that the old man's strength is so strong, but the knight can beat him. No wonder he can take her quietly among so many experts in the Cloud family. No wonder she can't beat him. I said you can't win. Knight casual smile, step by step close to the Western old man, clenched the sword on the hand. At this time, the old man in the west suddenly laughed. I really can't beat you. I didn't expect that you have become so powerful after so many years. But do you really think I came alone? As soon as the voice fell, the knight suddenly changed face. Then, without hesitation, he planned to kill the Western elder directly. But then, a slanting attack from the power directly hit on the sword. Hard to attack the sword in the past hit the side. A figure directly rushed over, bare-handed, body was wrapped in fighting spirit. Wind and fire toward the knight wrapped up. 3 figures appeared one after another, and the other 3 old men all appeared. How about second brother? The old man from the north helped up the old man from the west, and explored his injury. He was relieved after making sure there was no problem. No harm. The Western old man said. I didn't expect that his strength is so strong. The girl is over there. The old man from the east and the old man from the north immediately looked over. Their eyes stopped on Yunwu's stomach, and Yunwu's conditioned reflex covered their stomach. The old man of the east immediately decided, take the people away first, and then help the third brother. The other two nodded, and the three quickly flew towards Yunwu. All the goals were in Yunwu's belly. Cloud Dance's heart clattered. Because pregnant and clumsy body at this time did not dare to be careless. Purple fighting spirit instantly wrapped the whole body, Guwu sword in hand. Even in vain to fight. Yunwu knows that it's best for her to find a way to escape at this time. But since she has been targeted, how can she escape so easily? The three elders came to the front in a flash. Before Yunwu had time to start, he heard a loud drink. Dare to touch her then. With a whoosh, a long sword flew directly to this side, separated by three elders and Yunwu. Then Night desperately asked the old man of the south to entangle, with the fastest speed to fly over, the Cloud Dance behind. The oriental old man's face sank, and looked at the sudden appearance of the knight. Without saying a word, he called the pass directly. Knight will pick up the sword, directly up. 1 against 4. At this time, Yunwu finally saw the real strength of the knight. Under the attack of the 4 elders, the knight was like an angry lion. It was extremely fierce. No, I can't stay here any longer. Yunwu thought in her heart that no matter the knight or the 4 old men, their goal is to let their children die, but there is only one death or 2. In this case, why is she here? At present, Yunwu made a decision directly, escape. Think of here. Cloud danced slowly backward, looking at the front of the 5 people fighting together, who did not notice her, so straight turn, toward the outside. Yunwu ran all the way forward, and from time to time she turned her head and looked behind her, because it was a threat to her that 4 old men or any one of them caught up with her. I don't know how long Yunwu has been running, but suddenly she hears a rush of disordered footsteps behind her. Yunwu's heart sinks, and her fighting spirit has wrapped her whole body. She holds the ancient martial arts sword in her hand, and intends to be ready for defense at any time. But when she saw who was behind her, she was suddenly stunned. But then it was a happy night, and it was a night of serious injury. Looking in a hurry, very embarrassed. Seeing such a miserable night, Yunwu only felt comfortable. If it wasn't for the 4 old men, she would have hoped that he would hang up. Night at this time has been panting, came to the cloud in front of the eyes full of ferocious. Yunwu takes a deep breath. Just as he is preparing to fight against the knight suddenly flashes to Yunwu, grabs Yunwu's wrist, hardly gives Yunwu the chance to resist, turns around and continues to fly forward. Yunwu, I advise you to come with me now because you know, these 4 people are going to kill your child, but I am not. I hope you will give birth to your child. The knight coughed twice, coughed up a mouthful of blood, his face a little pale, obviously, suffered a lot of injury. He looked behind him. It seemed that no one had caught up with him. There was no one on the road in front of him. Obviously it was very late at night. Yunwu was staggered by the knight, but she agreed with the knight very much, because now it seems that at least with the knight, she can still protect herself, so she quickened her pace and let the knight pull her and run forward. The streets in front of us are all dead. If we hadn't seen the residents before, Yunwu would think this place is a dead city. Cloud Dance and Night 2 people keep running forward, because they are afraid of being chased by 4 old people, so they turn left and right, and walk around in this space. I'm afraid that Yunwu's child will be born in 2 days, so Yi doesn't plan to leave here with Yunwu at all. Finally, it was a long distance away from the dark place that they finally breathed. They hid in an abandoned house and observed for a long time. When they saw that no one was chasing them, they finally breathed. They collapsed to the ground. Cloud Dance, how do you feel now? The knight vomited blood phlegm, leaned on the door, turned his head and looked at the Cloud Dance sitting beside him panting heavily. Yunwu shook her head, but didn't speak. She didn't want to have too much contact with this person, so she closed her eyes and continued to breathe. Originally because of this heavy stomach, so now, Yunwu has felt very easy to get tired. She knows that if she continues like this, she will have little time left. Suddenly I heard the voice of the people around me. When Yunwu opened his eyes, he saw that the knight had already stood up and put all the firewood on the ground. You wait here. I'll find something to eat. Night vomited breath, pushed the door and went out. Don't start the fire now. I'm afraid you can't handle it alone. Yunwoo's heart moved. If it wasn't for this person who imprisoned herself there, she would really think that this person is a very gentle and kind person now. Close your eyes and don't respond to him. Just continue to look inside your body. The door was pushed open and then closed. Yunwoo raised his head, looked at the shadow of the night, and slowly disappeared at the door side. Both Yunwoo and Yewoo are smart people. They all know that it's not good for anyone to leave now. At this time, what Yewoo wants most is in Yunwoo's stomach, and Yunwoo also wants her children to survive. So now the night is very calm, and he doesn't monitor Yunwoo as before, and doesn't put Yunwoo in this room, because he knows that the smart Yunwoo won't escape from this room and his side now. Yunwoo closed her eyes for a while, and gradually relaxed her nerves, but she didn't relax her vigilance, because she knew that the 4 old men would come at any time. For a long time, Night still didn't come back. Yunwoo was leaning against the wall, and was about to fall asleep. Now because of her pregnancy, the source of her life was consumed seriously, so she was easily tired. Trapped to the whole person or dizzy. Yunwoo still did not wait until the night back. The heart is still thinking about whether the night encountered any trouble. After a long time, finally the door was opened. Yunwoo opened his eyes and looked in front of him. He saw that the night was more embarrassed and his whole body was injured. He limped in, closed the door and inserted it. Then he sat down, gasped, put the animal corpse on the ground and said, "Light the fire and barbecue." Cloud Dance frowned tightly. It was obvious that this man had met the 4 elders. He lowered his head to light a fire and asked, "Didn't he attract the 4 elders?" The knight coughed twice, leaned against the wall, closed his eyes, frowned, and couldn't help taking a breath of air conditioning. His tone sounded tired, but he was still as lazy as ever. "Don't worry, I will ensure your safety, so I must get rid of them." Yunwoo said nothing and carefully picked up the animals in his hands. His anger eased slightly. This man, in fact, ran out to look for prey because he was afraid that his physical strength could not keep up with him, and was attacked by the 4 old men. The fire crackled. Yunwoo found 2 branches and put the 2 rabbits on them to bake. The light of the fire reflected on their faces. Silence for a long time, 2 people who did not speak, just quietly looking at the rabbit in front of the flow of oil roasted. Night frowned at Cloud Dance for a long time. Cloud Dance finally broke the silence. "Night, you tell me what's the use of getting my children?" As the clouds whirled the branches, the rabbit was scorched. But the knight just shook his head and sighed. Obviously, his attitude was that he didn't plan to carry on this topic. Cloud Dance, heart angry, also helpless, had to continue to roast rabbit. After a long time, I finally roasted 2 rabbits, silently picked up a rabbit and gave it to Night. I also tore a piece and ate it slowly. We'll have enough spirit tonight, but tomorrow we'll have to go far. Night ate a bite, said, "Now the 4 old people are scattered around. Continue to look for our figure. If we don't walk, it is likely that we will soon run into these people." The Cloud Dance Welle still didn't speak, eating food. After eating for a while, they felt that they were not so hungry. Then they fell asleep with their clothes. One night the fire burned out. When he opened his eyes again, Yunwoo saw that the knight was standing outside the door. He turned to look at her and said, "Let's go, let's get out of here." The cloud rises and leaves the abandoned house with the knight. After walking for a long time, they saw the dim sun in the overcast sky, and finally tilted from the top to the back. At night, they turned to look at a hill beside them, pointed to the clouds and said, "Let's go here tonight. I think this place is relatively high, so it's easy to observe, and we can react in time." Didn't nod his head or shake his head, but the night was the consent of the Cloud Dance. After all, everything has the final say of Night. The 2 men raised their legs and walked up the mountain. On that hill, the trees are luxuriant, and even the leaves are black, but it's more secret than the houses. If you really meet them, running away in the woods can slow them down. All of a sudden, Yunwoo saw a huge tree in front of him. The tree was so big that he couldn't see the end at a glance. I'm afraid it would take 17 or 18 people to embrace it. I think this tree should be able to cover up. Cloud Danceway, alone walked in the past, Night, watching Cloud Dance walk in the past, also hurried to the other side. What surprised them even more was that there was a huge hole in the tree. The size of the hole was smaller than a bedroom in Yunfu. Suddenly, their eyes lit up. Walking into the tree cave, I suddenly felt that there was no wind blowing at night, and it was warmer. After watching the clouds and the night in the tree cave for a long time, I finally sat down. The forest was full of birds and animals, and it was easy to hit the prey, and then deal with it, light a fire in the tree hole, ready to eat something to save energy. But at this time, Yunwu suddenly heard someone's footsteps outside, and suddenly became nervous. They quickly kicked out the fire in front of them, one left and one right guarding at the entrance of the cave, and no one spoke, quietly listening to the situation outside. I only heard the footsteps of one person outside, which made Yunwu and the Knight feel relieved. Knight turned to see Cloud Dance. Compared with the gesture of killing when walking in, Cloud Dance instantly understood and nodded. He bowed his head and pondered for a moment. Yunwu thought about how to introduce the people in front of him. Suddenly, he heard a surprised voice from outside. "There's the smell of barbecue here." Yunwu's heart sank. Sure enough, it was the voice of the old man in the south. He heard the old man say, "Don't say I'm really hungry after walking for so long." With that, I heard the footsteps coming closer and closer. Yunwu is nervous. Looking at the Knight, she also frowns and purses her mouth. Obviously, she didn't expect that the old man in the south had found it. Knight toward Cloud Dance nod. Two people will take the weapon in the hand, quietly waiting. Finally, the sound of the footstep came to the door, and Knight and Cloud Dance also make silent gesture to each other. They have their own weapons. All of a sudden, a foot came in. Suddenly, Cloud Dance and Knight heard the voice of the old man from the south, ecstatic. Sure enough, there is Karuo here. Then, the old people in the south did not look around to see if there were other people living there, so they sat there and ate. The Cloud Dance and the Knight looked confused. Suddenly, the Knight clenched the weapon in his hand, turned to see Yunwu, nodded to Yunwu, and then, suddenly holding his own weapon, rushed up. The old people in the south are eating well. Obviously, they didn't expect that someone would attack them. They suddenly got a fright, stuck the meat in their throat, coughed hard, and tears were coming out. Yunwu and Ye cut off the neck of the old people in the south one after another. And Cloud Dance this knife, cut with all one's strength. However, even so, the old man in the south opened his eyes with barbecue, but he didn't seem to care at all. Instead, he ate it quietly. Obviously, although he was fighting, he didn't intend to give up his delicious food. He was still eating in his mouth and muttered, "Look! What did I say? They are here as expected." Then he burst out laughing. It felt like the joy that the child finally got the sugar. All of a sudden, the hand of the meat is still on the ground, fists immediately wrapped up fighting, hard hit in the past. But Yunwu didn't expect that. Although the strength of the old people in the south was expected, it still surprised Yunwu. She felt a strong pressure in the tree cave, which made her gasp for breath. She took a step back, held the big sword in her hand, and cut it hard. The old man's fist, and the Cloud Dance's sword, such an obvious difference of victory and defeat. But I didn't expect that when I contacted the old man, Yunwu had already been bounced away. Then, the fighting spirit from the old man hit Yunwu's stomach. Bang! Cloud Dance eat pain, hurry to protect the stomach. This finally did not let the child have any danger. Dance continued to hold his own ancient sword, ready to swing on, but suddenly heard the voice of the Knight behind. "Don't fight, we escape. Soon the others will come." Without saying a word, Yunwu slashes at the old man in the south, and leaves with the Knight in the empty place where the old man is hiding. In a hurry they ran back to the street. Yunwu were exhausted. They turned to look behind them. There was no one, but they couldn't take it too lightly. In case an old man suddenly appeared again, I'm afraid they couldn't deal with it. All of a sudden, they heard a voice of abuse behind them. It was the voice of the southern elders. It was obvious that the 4 elders had come out and began to look for 2 people in this place. Today, I'm afraid they would not stop killing them. Knight secretly gnashed teeth, pull Cloud Dance side flash into an alley. The lane was very narrow. Yunwu and Yi 2 could only walk by one. They heard the voices of several old people getting closer and closer. Yunwoo was also anxious. He turned to look behind him, and in front of him. The narrow alley was coming to an end. But at this time, suddenly heard behind a clear voice. I see them, they are in this alley. Night and Cloud Dance are not good at the same time. When you turn your head and look behind you, you can see the Western old man smiling and affable. He slowly comes here, but there are few old people left. The secret way in Yunwoo's heart is not good. These people won't leave one person to act alone now. It must be that other people are around. When they feel around, it's not surprising that 4 people with high level are all around them. Night will Cloud Dance behind him. The dark energy on his body rises abruptly, and he walks forward slowly, with a cold sweat on his forehead. And the Cloud Dance in the night behind, in the heart also a burst of tension. There is always a kind of ominous premonition. Hey baby, where else do you want to go? Suddenly, right above the Cloud Dance, there was a sound of laughter, which immediately made the Cloud Dance's brain hum. Instinctively, he threw up the ancient sword and cut it up. But the old man, with a smile, jumped from the roof to avoid the big sword. Yunwoo stepped back in fright. When he looked around, he found that the 4 old men had surrounded them. They were trapped in this narrow alley. Are you too tired from running around? In the end, we still caught you. The old man in the south smoothed his beard and laughed, obviously very proud. Cloud Dance 2 people but frown, back to back, high alert. Cloud Dance stand behind the Knight, low voice sneer way. I reluctantly cooperate with you once. The Knight bowed his head and laughed, but he didn't speak. Suddenly, he heard the voice of the old man in the east behind him. Cloud Dance called out to be careful. In an instant, the old man in the south came from front of him with a strong wind. Be careful too, Knight said suddenly. The whole body is wrapped up by the dark energy. Towards the direction of the south old man rushed up. Western elders smile and squint. White hair and white beard are very elegant, but Yunwoo knows that he can't wait to die. If this goes on, I'm afraid it's them who will succeed. They've come here, so let's fight. Cloud Dance drinks a low. The big knife infuses the thunder element, throws to the Western elder. But the figure of the Western old man suddenly flashed in front of Yunwoo, and disappeared in a moment. Yunwoo is in a state of astonishment, but he feels a breath around him, slowly attacking himself. Although it's slow, but I don't know why, Yunwoo can't avoid it at all. The figure of the Western old man suddenly appeared beside him. His hand slowly raised and drew an arc in the void. Then his hand touched the knife of Cloud Dance. Yunwoo tried his best to cut it down, but the old man gently pushed it to one side, then turned his hand to pass the power back. Yunwoo exclaimed in surprise. The strength she had just cut back suddenly came back to her. Yunwoo had no time to react, and had been pushed to the wall. Out of instinct, Yunwoo concentrated all her fighting spirit on her back. With a bang, Yunwoo felt that the wall behind her was shaking 3 times. She fell to the ground with a plop. With a grin, Yunwoo felt that her blood was surging and she almost vomited blood. She reluctantly swallowed it. Yunwoo stood up and saw the old man standing in front of her with a smile. Yunwoo's eyes are full of murderous spirit. She carefully looks at the old man in front of her. She thinks that these people are too strong for herself and Knight to defeat them. She has to find a way to escape. And the Knight around, also looking around, obviously, and their own ideas. Ready to find a chance to escape. For old men, guarding in 4 directions, did not let go at all, which made Yunwoo feel heavy, panting heavily in the night, coughing gently. Obviously, the injury was not light. Yunwoo was also a little exhausted, and her stomach was heavy as if to tear her apart. Cloud Dance in the heart nervous. She felt that she was about to be unable to support. If you don't run away, may be born here. Her stomach was aching. Yunwoo clenched her teeth and kept silent. The heavy Guwu sword in her hand made her hands tremble. In the tense atmosphere, I feel a little bit of movement. The 4 elders will come forward immediately and kill Yunwoo. Yunwoo breathed in his heart and told himself to keep calm. However, now the 4 old men are all in a state of fighting. In fact, they don't intend to stay alive, so they are ruthless. Yunwoo was panting. She looked down at her stomach. Her stomach became more and more heavy. In addition, Giant Baby was tumbling restlessly inside. It seemed that she was protesting against such a big movement of Yunwu. Yunwu felt that her physical strength and willpower were reaching the limit. The cold sweat kept flowing. Soon wet clothes was blown by the wind, immediately cold to the bone. Yunwu turned to look at the knight, and the knight was panting, obviously very tired. His body was full of wounds. Although there was no blood in his black robe, the foot of the knight had dripping a piece of scarlet, and his face was pale. Judging from the current situation and the state of the knight, if the four of them had to kill Yunwu, maybe the knight could not save Yunwu. But now, what Yunwu needs most is to live and save her physical strength, because if she wants to save her children, she must leave alive. A burst of tension in my heart. Cloud Dance frowned, but my brain was running at a high speed, thinking about how to escape, but I heard the knight behind me suddenly give a big drink and attack one of the old people. One of them suddenly laughed, and then, without dodging, galloped away towards the knight. When Yunwu saw that the war was on the verge of breaking out, she thought that maybe these people could stop the knight, and then take this opportunity to escape. However, when she turned around, she saw the Western elder standing in front of her, and smiling at Yunwu. Yunwu felt a burst of anger in his heart. He suddenly waved Guwu's sword, gave a roar, and cut off the head of the Western old man in front of him. Learning from the lessons of the last time, Yunwu learned the skills used by the old man in the West. The old man used the method of relying on his strength. The greater his strength, the greater his rebound strength. Therefore, Yunwu naturally avoided direct contact with him. At the moment when the old man was about to be cut down, Yunwu suddenly took the old man back, then turned around and whirled to the back of the Western old man, attacking him from behind. But the old man in the West is still smiling and calm. Obviously, he had already known that Yunwu was going to do this. He stepped back and turned slightly. Cloud Dance's heart sank. The old man's body method is too strange. The old man's hand has already touched the big sword of Cloud Dance again. But this time, instead of relying on his strength, the old man suddenly pushes back the big sword in front of him. Yunwu staggers a few steps and almost falls down. Her brow is locked by her tumbling stomach. This person can overcome hardness with softness, and can overcome hardness with hardness. It seems that there is no flaw in this body method. Suddenly, I heard a dull hum behind me. When Yunwu turned his head, he saw the knight staggering backward for several steps, then holding the wall, panting violently, with blood hanging on the corner of his mouth, looking at the four old men in front of him viciously. Yunwu frowned. She didn't know how to help him. She even felt a little elated, because it was too painful when she was imprisoned the night before. But now is not the time to be willful. Now we are facing the pursuit of the four elders. Only Night can let Yunwu guarantee her life. At least with the Night, the child in Yunwu's belly will not die. But all of a sudden the Night suddenly fierce, issued a roar, and then in front of the old man fly out. The old man eat pain, stuffy hum, but did not speak. Once again came to his face, mouth still with blood. Everyone gasped and the Knight looked around. He seemed to be looking for a way to let them go. Cloud danced with a sword in his hand, looking at other people around, quite alert. In the night after death, I don't know what I'm thinking. Yunwu is secretly observing the attack characteristics of each old man, and is ready to find out their space and leave. Night suddenly forward, is a palm to the side of the east old man, but it was dissolved one by the oriental elders. However, Night seems to be crazy, trying to attack in the direction of a person, obviously already very angry. Just at this time, the Knight behind suddenly grabbed Yunwu's hand, and took her to one side of the alley. But now Yunwu obviously feels that her child is about to be born. In this state of crisis, she can't run far. The cloud dances, which is dragged forward and gallops forward, turns to look behind, but sees that the four old people behind are still chasing, but they are not close to each other. It feels like watching the prey in their palms struggling to escape. Suddenly her heart sank. Yunwu looked at the Knight in front of her. With a sneer, she suddenly took Guwu's sword in her hand and cut it down on the back of the Knight. The Knight heard the roaring sword from behind, but he didn't respond, because he was fighting against the old man in front of him, and he couldn't believe that he had walked so far in the clouds for so many days. At this time, the four old men had already come behind them. The knight didn't expect that the cloud dance without any action these days would cut itself. He was unprepared for Yunwu, so this knife was firmly cut on his back. At the same time, his body made an instinctive reaction, which made him bend down to avoid. Knight, almost a staggering kneel on the ground. Quickly get up to help. The figure of the 4 elders immediately came. For people have opened their eyes, face unbelievable, because all along, Yunwu is under the protection of Knight. But now Cloud Dance actually cut the knight with a backhand knife, which made the 4 old people confused and stunned for a long time. I said, "What are you old folks doing? Why don't you go and catch the Cloud Dance?" The old man in the south jumped up angrily. And without saying a word, he hit Yunwu with a fist. Cloud Dance's heart suddenly sank. She is now gambling. Gambling knight will let her be killed. Suddenly the knight moved. He clenched his teeth, took a breath, suddenly jumped in front of Yunwu, raised his palm, and faced the old man's fist in the south. In a flash, the remaining 3 old people all followed up. Suddenly, the knight vomited blood and turned pale. Cloud Dance see this opportunity, quickly turned away. The 4 elders and the knight haven't reacted yet, but the knight is still fighting to protect the Cloud Dance behind. The elder tries his best to get rid of the knight in front of him. Yunwu ran forward in a hurry, but with a stomachache in her eyes, she couldn't see the road clearly and ran forward in a bumpy way. But now, not only the power of life is empty, but also her own strength is in a weak state. Not only that, the contract beast and chaos hall are useless, and she can't open the border of darkness. Turn your head and look behind you. Yunwu feels that the 5 people behind you must have noticed it now. Slowly, they will catch up. Yunwu gasped and felt very desperate. The dark sky seems to have been splashed with ink. Yunwu's mood at this time is the same as the color of the sky. She is sweating and her mouth is open, but she still feels suffocated. The pain makes her pale. Finally, she collapsed under a tree. With dizziness and pain in her stomach, Yunwu already felt that she was dying. She frowned and covered her stomach. She felt that the child in her stomach was restless. Yunwu begged the 2 children to be safe in this desperate situation, but their stomachs began to ache. Yunwu couldn't help biting his lips, and immediately, his lips were full of blood. Paralyzed under the tree, the cloud dances, the heart is as dead as ashes. Soon, the 4 old people will follow up, and then they will kill their own children. Sigh, close your eyes, heart. I'm afraid today, life will be buried here. A wry smile thought, if you die here with the children, is also a good choice. But at this time, Yunwu felt his wrist tremble. He opened his heavy eyes and looked at his wrist. He saw a purple light coming out. Then, a round little thing suddenly appeared in front of her. Yunwu's eyes lit up slightly. He reached out and caught the little ball in front of her. The little Tuanzi was lying in the palm of Yunwu's hand, trembling. Yunwu looked at the little thing, a little strange. This little thing suddenly, behind the little thing, 2 little wings pop out. Then, 2 big round eyes also opened. It looked around in confusion, and then turned his head to see the clouds in front of him. Suddenly, surprise fan his small wings, blinked big eyes, intimately with his round body to touch Yunwu's cheek. Yunwu's heart was soft, and his brain suddenly remembered that this little thing was the descendant of poor Qi. At the beginning, when Yunwu was in the Gate of Beasts, he brought it out from the base underground. At that time, it was named Little Potato, but later, because Bai Lao was sleeping, so Little Potato also went to sleep with him. But I didn't expect that Yunwu was so weak that he couldn't even summon Chaos Hall and Contract Beast. But the Little Potato was not bound by the border. Yunwu was very happy. Suddenly hearing the footsteps behind, Yunwu suddenly regained his mind. Looking behind him, he found that the 4 old men had caught up with him. In the heart anxious, in the hand one lin, the ancient martial arts big knife once again tightly grasped in the hand. However, this time, she was even struggling with the knife. The tumbling pain in her stomach made her forehead sweat dripping, but she was still struggling with the sense of powerlessness. Small Potato behind the small wings moved. It tilted his head, looked at her, and then looked down at her big round belly. I don't know what it's looking at, but it looks up at the cloud dance again. Whine in a very low voice. It's like talking to Yunwu. Unfortunately, cloud dance now where mind attention. She is trying to bear the pain, mobilize the spirit of looking at the four old men gradually close. Ouch! See Cloud Dance ignore it. Small Potato and tilted his head staring at her stomach looked at, and then looked up at Cloud Dance whine. Then the little potato suddenly jumped up, lifted up the cloud and disappeared with a whoosh. As soon as the four old men rushed under the tree, they saw that Yunwu had disappeared by the little thing. However, all four people saw the shadow, and their hearts were shocked. They looked at each other almost at the same time. That little guy should not. Poor boy, how can that girl get it? That Cloud family kid. Is there anything else that hasn't explained to us clearly? For people seem very clear that little thing is a what identity, facial expression all some strange, but four people unexpectedly didn't chase. Because if it's a poor kid, they can't catch up. Small Potato with Cloud Dance all the way. The speed of Cloud Dance can't help smacking, only feel the surrounding scenery retreated. When she looked back, had left the original place, don't know how many miles away. Suddenly little Potato stopped. Just when Yunwu felt strange, he saw the surrounding scenery suddenly regress more quickly. Yunwu felt that they were getting closer and closer to the dark border that bound here. Suddenly, I just felt comfortable in the border. Yunwu and Tudo rushed out. In an instant, the dark sky and stars all over the sky appeared in front of the clouds. Yunwu's eyes widened with excitement. He was knocked down on the ground by Yunwu and the four old men. At night, he sat against the wall and looked at the sky in front of him. He frowned slightly and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face became pale again. Hard clenched his fist, Night clenched his teeth, gas speechless. Small Potato and Cloud danced together. Just out of the border, Cloud Dance's stomach began to severe pain up. Bursts of pain. Let Cloud Dance can't help but pain hum. The whole body has been like a bath by sweat. Yunwu knows that her baby will be born soon, but now if the baby is born, the baby inside will die. Yunwu endured the pain, almost left tears biting her teeth, stroking her stomach. The pain made her dizzy. Yunwu had no way to continue thinking. However, when her hand slowly stroked her stomach, Yunwu suddenly found that the children in her stomach seemed to know that Yunwu was their mother. Gradually, under the palm of Yunwu's hand, she calmed down. But the abdominal pain continued, and the amniotic fluid was about to break. Yunwu closed her eyes and wanted to instill some source of life into her dying baby. However, she found that the child could not absorb energy by himself except breathing. Heart sad, coupled with pain and a long time of despair depression, Yunwu only feel the whole sky is gray. She lang looking at the sky, for a long time did not speak. Small Potatoes in the cloud around for a long time, dancing. It seems to be waiting for the next cloud command. But Yunwu didn't give an order or speak, just sat quietly under a tree on the edge of the border, pale. Little Potato is very anxious, keep jumping, flying up, flapping his small wings. It is very anxious. Cloud Dance gave a wry smile, saying that what is still useful now. What she wants most now is to give birth to the two children as soon as possible. All of a sudden, the little potato around him flew up and bumped into Yunwu's face. Cloud Dance and the heart feel strange, but see in front of the small potato suddenly lift themselves up, continue to go forward quickly. Yunwu was puzzled. Looking at the nihilistic scenery in front of her, she was silent, but the little potato was harmless. Yunwu had given her life to the little potato, but in the heart has been entangled with his belly child. The youngest child now even the most basic absorption of energy has been unable to do. Immediately, he may be on the verge of the end of life. This makes Yunwu feel extremely sad. Her own children, any one of them, she hopes to live well. Small Potato with Cloud Dance, constantly galloping on the road, the scenery around the rapid retrogression. Cloud Dance even have a sense of vertigo. She had to close her eyes. However, this speed actually lasted an afternoon. At this speed, little Potato flew all afternoon, which made Yunwu feel admiration. Finally, the small potato fast figure stopped in a vast white environment. Yunwu looked down at the little potato's eyes, only to see a vast expanse of white. The sky and the ground are fog, everything here. Can't see clearly whether it is the mountain forest or the grassland, just feel two people in a fog. Little Potato will Cloud Dance on the ground, and then suddenly heave a breath, and then twisted his round body suddenly, toward the front, suddenly fly away. That way. It's like a round potato stuck in an arrow. It's so fast that people can't imagine. But just fly past. Cloud Dance did not respond. Small potatoes suddenly bounced back, like a ball of glutinous rice. PA fell in front of Cloud Dance. The little potato shakes his head and flies with tears in his eyes. Then he makes full preparations and rushes in front of him. Cloud Dance sitting in the fog, but already feel. Small potatoes will bring themselves to a bright and energetic place. Close your eyes and sure enough, you can see the bright baby in your belly. Suddenly, it starts to absorb energy slowly. Although it's only a little shallow, it makes Yunwoo very happy. Yunwoo quickly closed his eyes, separated a wisp of life, and slowly passed to the dying baby with bright constitution. However, another baby with dark constitution was a little bit reluctant, and was tossing about in his stomach. Yunwoo tightly pursed her mouth, continued to close her eyes, separated the source of life, and gave it to the bright baby. The sound of potatoes pounding the border came from my ear. Yunwoo opens his eyes and finds that little potato is sitting beside him panting, looking very depressed. He couldn't help but feel very funny. Yunwoo reached out and pinched his two little wings, lifted him up and put him on the palm of his hand. Thanks to you today, potato. Yunwoo poked little potato in the face with her finger. But little potato seems very angry. Cloud Dance some doubts. Turn to see the border over there. The border is very strange, even if the little potato used up all his strength, but how also can't open. After a while little potato came back to Yunwoo. His whole body was as dirty as a child. Cloud Dance looked up at the border, only felt that it was different from the border she had met before, but it was not clear what the difference was. What did you bring me here for? Yunwoo turns to Zayatudu in doubt, hoping that he can give him an answer. However, Zayatudu chirps a lot of words that she doesn't understand. Yunwoo still looks puzzled. Small potatoes fly up, in the belly of Cloud Dance fly a few circles, and then to the edge of the border fly a few circles. His mouth issued a few goo-goo sound. But Yunwoo was still puzzled. At this time, Yunwoo felt a pain in her abdomen, and then a warm liquid came out. The amniotic fluid is broken. Yunwoo's face turned pale, and the whole person curled up in pain, but he couldn't really curl up because of his big stomach. Small potato also felt the sound, no longer dare to neglect, quickly fly up, no matter Cloud Dance can understand, directly toward the border hit. Bang dash before the huge border, little potato spoke a language he couldn't understand, and his little body bumped against the border again and again, as if he was tireless. Clearly is such a small body, before the border like a boat in the sea, but it happened that his every impact can cause a huge sensation. If it had been done before, Cloud Dance would have been able to find the difference here. I'm afraid it would have stopped it. But now, the amniotic fluid has been broken. She has long been in agony, not to mention the voice to stop, even to see the surrounding environment are not strong. A pair of eyes closed tightly, feel the stomach of two children. One is strong and the other is weak. He tries hard to send the source of life to the bright child in his stomach, but he can't absorb it at all. Yunwoo has no way to think, she only knows tirelessly to send the source of life to that child. Two children, she does not want to give up. Bang, 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 sound constantly resounding in the world. Little potato goo-goo said a mess of language. Every hit must force hay on a sound. Finally, there was a wave on the border. Small potato ha a sound, like finally see hope, so more efforts toward the border bumped up. The bright child in Yunwoo's stomach is dying, and the hot and humid liquid flows out along her legs. For the first time, there was despair in Yunwoo's eyes. Do you really want to give up your children? But this is my own child. It's the natural child of Heilong Qingxia. How can I just give up? The stronger child in his stomach suddenly moved. Yunwoo's brain, which was extremely painful and unable to think, suddenly flashed a trace of clarity in the sea, as if he had been reminded by the child. The dark child moved again, as if he felt that it was time to be born. With the continuous flow of amniotic fluid, he tried to come out. Cloud Dance pain brows are twisted together. Feel the dark child's action, heart more flustered. If this time to produce, Only afraid of their own children really want to die. But if I don't make a decision quickly at this time, I'm afraid the 2 children will die in my stomach. The sound of bang, bang and bang is still ringing. Yunwu feels that she is about to lose her perception of the surrounding things deep in the border, from the mountains. In the deepest white building, the man with eyes closed suddenly opened his eyes. Who is it? How dare you bump into our border? The voice of Zhongqi full spread out. But the instant change swept the whole border, and accurately spread to the ears of Little Potato and Cloud Dance outside the border. Just this sentence can tell the strength of this man. Small Potato creak quack quack quack, said some messy words, like did not hear the voice in general, not only did not stop their own action, but more forcefully hit up. Bang bang, bang from time to time he showed his fearlessness. His voice was so loud that he could hear it clearly in any corner of the whole border, like fighting with the people inside. That's ridiculous. The man who just spoke suddenly got angry, stood up directly from the futon he was sitting on, opened the door and went out. Outside the door, the gatekeeper on both sides of the door lowered his head. What's going on out there? The doorman looked at a loss. Back to the Lord, has sent people to see, has not come back. With that, it seemed that it was not enough to say that, so he said, it seems that it came from the hot spring. Hot springs. The man, who was called the patriarch, frowned and suppressed the anger in his heart. With a serious face he thought in a low voice and said, is it for the hot spring? It's hard for the 2 doormen to talk. From the time they were doormen, someone always came to the hot spring. But to tell you the truth, it's the first time in so many years that someone is so arrogant that they dare to break the border. Don't they know it's Yuguishan? It's a sacred place for a lot of people. They are not afraid of trouble if they are so aggressive? Forget it, I'll see. The patriarch immediately decided that not all the disciples in the hot spring could go in, and even many powerful disciples might not be allowed to go in once. It was still up to the patriarch. Moreover, he also wanted to see who actually dared to fight so openly. After making the decision, the patriarch immediately flew in the direction of the hot spring. The collision was so loud that he could know where it happened without carefully identifying the direction. Along the way, I met many Yuguishan's disciples, but now they are all curious looking at the direction of Jiejia. They are obviously very curious about this event. Beyond the boundary, with the impact of small potatoes one after another, finally, there is no movement of the boundary issued a crisp sound. How the little potato laughs with joy. With a hole, it's easy to do next. The aura in the border is full. It's just a hole, and it's constantly coming out. The little potato bumped a few times quickly again. It seemed that he felt that someone was coming here, so he worked harder. Soon it was just the boundary of a hole, and instantly became able to let people through. Without hesitation, Little Potato flew directly to Yunwu and took Yunwu to get in. And just after a man and a beast passed through the hole, a figure appeared at the broken hole. What? The patriarch looked at the broken cave, and the abundant aura in the border was continuously drilling out along the cave. The patriarch's face sank, and now this situation suddenly became clear. Someone must have slipped in. The patriarch released his energy and blocked up the broken place of the border. The border of Yuguishan is not an ordinary one. It needs a special way combined with the array to improve it. Even if it's just a hole, it's not easy to make it up. Therefore, the energy of the patriarch at this time is just a temporary emergency. After finishing this task, the patriarch's face had already sunk down. At the moment he made a tour around him, but he didn't find anything. It happened that he met a group of patrolling disciples coming towards him. The patriarch called at once. You immediately inform the elders to repair the border as soon as possible. In addition, we should strengthen our defense these days. As long as we see people waiting, we should catch them immediately. Those disciples don't know what happened, but they still heard the sound of the border pounding, otherwise they would not have come here. Now I heard the Lord's command again, and I guessed in my heart that someone must have broken in. So I nodded one by one, and then immediately turned to find the elder. After the order, the patriarch turned around and wanted to go to other places to have a look, but he just moved his foot and suddenly remembered something. Looking around at the hot spring, I hesitated. Not everyone can go to the hot spring. It's full of aura. Even the patriarch can't occupy it every day. But now that such a thing has happened, the visitor is likely to go to the hot spring. If he doesn't go to have a look thinking of this, the patriarch immediately made up his mind and turned to the hot spring. As soon as Xiatudu and Yunwu entered the border, he ran to the hot spring. It was not because he had been here, but because as a warcraft he was naturally sensitive to the concentration of aura, so it was easy to distinguish where the energy was stronger. He just needed to fly to that place. But unexpectedly, just outside the border, I have been used to the painful cloud dance. As I get closer to the hot spring, I just feel that there is an extremely strong smell of light coming from all directions. As soon as this power was close to him, he got into his body and was absorbed directly by the bright child in his stomach. Cloud dance hearted joy. The child before but even their own source of life are unable to absorb, at this time can absorb the power of light. All of a sudden, Yunwu wanted to go a little further. Small Potato with her 7 twists and turns, and finally stopped in a hot spring cave, so big hot spring, with white smoke around. Carefully distinguish. Unexpectedly found that all the white smoke is the energy of light breath. If Cloud Dance can still think, it is bound to find how precious this hot spring is. It happens to be in an excellent position of feng shui in this cave, but also continue to absorb the smell of light nearby, and finally dense together more and more. It can even be said that the whole Yugui mountain is just because of this hot spring, so it can reach the present situation. Little Tudo brings Yunwu over, and without saying a word, he directly throws her into the hot spring. In his opinion, Yunwu's body is too weak at this time, so it must be well mended, so this bright place is the best place. But Little Potato didn't expect that when Yunwu entered the hot spring, he uttered a scream. Cloud Dance cried out in pain. But the pain is not because of themselves, but because the dark child in the stomach even desperately want to come out. Little Potato was surprised, and rushed to Yunwu, only to find that her breath had not changed. So Chirp said some words, and then fly up, to the entrance of the hot spring cave, a flash of light on the body, and finally formed a transparent border on the entrance of the cave. After all this, Little Potato flew back to Yunwu's side. A bright light on his body flickered, flew from his forehead to Yunwu's forehead, and finally disappeared directly into Yunwu's skin. With this action, the body of Cloud Dance seems to become transparent. Little Potato then said some words, like a mantra, which is to finish all the things. His little body flew to the side of Cloud Dance, and he was comfortable in the hot spring. But Cloud Dance is very painful. Stomach as if there are countless sharp blades split in the above general. Followed by the stomach of the dark child desperately struggle. Clearly is a child who has not yet been born, but Yunwu seems to hear his cry, so heartbroken, want to escape from this place. And different from the dark child, the bright child is trying to absorb the breath of light. Cloud Dance, suffering from pain, desperately opens her eyes. Little Potato is also soaking in the hot spring, looking at her curiously. Yunwu suddenly realized that Little Potato only felt that the bright child in his stomach was about to die. Because he was in urgent need of bright energy, he brought himself here. But he forgot that he had 2 children in his stomach. She was the one who wanted to keep the light. That's right, but it didn't mean she was willing to give up her other child. The 2 children in her stomach, one bright and the other dark, no matter which one is, are her own flesh and blood. Even if there is only a glimmer of hope, she is not willing to give up any of them. Thank you. Cloud Dance looked at Little Potato, pale weak voice said. But please take me out, I can't in this hot spring. Goo goo? Quack quack quack. Little Potato said a lot of words, as if he didn't understand. At this time, another child in Yunwu's stomach still needs strength. How can he not stay in this pool? The child in his stomach is struggling more and more fiercely. Yunwu cries out again. He knows that if he doesn't try to leave the pool, he will die directly. Just the bright atmosphere in the cave is much stronger than the dark atmosphere in the border on the first night, not to mention the pool. Yunwu knows that no matter what she says, Little Potato doesn't understand. She doesn't waste any more time. She drags her tired body and turns around directly, trying to climb towards the bank. Goo goo. Ji. The small potato flies out of the pool and comes to Yunwoo's side. He says to Yunwoo in a hurry. Although I can't understand him, Yunwoo can feel the worry and anxiety of little potato. Unfortunately, Yunwoo didn't even have the strength to smile at him. All his thoughts were on the two children in his stomach, while he was able to climb out as soon as possible. Gigi. Little potato is still trying to say something, flying around Yunwoo's side, but Yunwoo has no mind to deal with her. Finally, the cloud danced to the shore. Hands on the side, but how can not make the strength? No, we have to go up. The cloud dances in the heart to shout. The hands suddenly one dint. The upper half body finally left the water. Yunwoo tries to climb up. As her stomach leaves the water, the dark child's action in her stomach finally becomes smaller. Yunwoo breathes a sigh of relief, and her upper body just leaves the water falls down again. The child in his stomach became fierce again, and the pain of being pierced by tens of thousands of sharp blades came back again. With a cry of pain, Yunwoo grabbed the edge with both hands. Small potato worried, and finally see the intention of cloud dance, quickly came forward with a cloud dance. Efforts to cloud dance out of the hot spring, but do not understand what to do next. Yunwoo touches the shore with her feet, and the little potato suddenly understands it, and puts Yunwoo on the ground. Finally arrived at the shore of the cloud dance, but did not completely relax. This cave area is very large. It is a cave, but because of the hot spring, energy is sufficient, grow a lot of strange flowers and plants, look vibrant. The closer the place is to the hot spring, the stronger the breath of light, the more obvious the vitality, and the more painful the dark child is. And bright children like it better, but if you stay near the hot spring, you can't give birth to the two children safely. But it's even more impossible to leave this cave. Once you leave, the bright child will not be able to continue to absorb energy. At that time, you can only keep one. Yunwoo tried his best to look at the surrounding situation, and finally chose the place with relatively thin energy in the cave to separate and climb over. In the belly child attribute is opposite, moreover the dark child seems to be unable to wait, can come out at any time generally. Yunwoo knew that she was going to face a very difficult problem. That is, she had to deliver her own baby and keep her two children. Even though she knows how difficult it is to do this, Yunwoo never gives up. There is only one idea in her heart, which is to climb over and give birth to the two children safely. Yunwoo tries to endure the pain in her stomach, and crawls towards her goal little by little. The child in her stomach is still beating and kicking. Every move brings strong pain. Warm liquid flows out along the thigh. Yunwoo has no energy to distinguish whether it is broken amniotic fluid or blood. The legs have already lost consciousness of pain. All the action can only rely on the hands of cloud dancing constantly rubbing on the ground. Just like a man with broken legs, the place where he crawled was dragged out a long trace, white and red liquid mixed together. Gigi goo goo. Little potato anxiously flies around Yunwoo, not sure what Yunwoo is going to do. Mingming has pulled her out of the hot spring. Why do you climb towards the distance? Clearly, he feels that Yunwoo's body is constantly absorbing energy. Little potato was worried in his heart, and his action became flying around. Finally, he decided that no matter what Yunwoo wanted to do, he could not just watch her climb on the ground like this, so he hurried forward and wanted to pull Yunwoo up. Cloud dance screamed, frowned tightly together, and the child in his stomach suddenly kicked to a very painful place, which made cloud dance unable to breathe. In the past, no matter how many injuries I suffered, I didn't feel so tortured. I just felt as if I was in hell now. Little potato, you stay away from me. Yunwoo gasped and said, You can't help me now. If I'm flying with you will hurt the child. Let me go by myself. Just as he was about to start, little potato stopped immediately. Although he couldn't speak, he could understand it. At this time, when he heard the words of cloud dance, a burst of tears appeared in his eyes. He looked very pitiful. You get out of the way first. Cloud dance strong support added a small potato hurriedly let to one side. Cloud dance stopped for a while, but it was only for a while. It seemed that the child in his stomach had stopped a little, so cloud dance continued to climb forward. Small potatoes also quiet down, fell to the side of cloud dance, with a pair of short legs to follow cloud dance slowly forward. Yunwoo moved a little, He also moved a little, in this way, a man and a beast closer to the front. Zixixabi reverberates in the cave outside the cave. The master of Yuguishan stood in front of the cave, his black eyes shining with the light of thinking. How come there's no breath here? The patriarch murmured doubts, reached out and touched his chin, then went around the cave again, but never found the previous breath. It's strange. The patriarch frowned and said, looking into the cave again, he saw that the cave was dark and could see nothing from the outside. The patriarch stepped back to the cave, saluted the middle of the cave, and said, although it violates the rules of returning jade to the mountain, it's urgent. It's an exception. I hope that all the masters of returning jade to the mountain will not blame it. With that, the Lord stepped into the cave. Little Potato shivered all over, instantly found someone coming, quickly ran to Yunwu and said a lot to him. Cloud Dance, as if can't hear General, still continued to climb forward. Small Potato had to fly back, and in the back of the hot spring added a border. When the patriarch entered the cave, it was still a dark cave from the outside. In an instant, it became a wonderland full of flowers and plants, and a hot spring was constantly emitting smoke. After the hot spring, there was no one. Why not? The patriarch suddenly exclaimed and walked forward several steps. The line of sight sweeps over the location of Yunwu several times, but nothing can be seen. Even the sound of knowing rate between the crawling of Yunwu can't be heard. Small Potato quietly back a few steps, vigilant looking at the Lord. The patriarch walked around in the cave, looking at almost every place, but he didn't find any strange places. Finally, he had to give up. Before he left, he took another look at the brick. It seems that he escaped to another place. The Lord frowned and turned to leave. I don't know how long it took. Yunwu finally climbed to the place he liked before, and the dark child in his stomach finally stopped crying. Yunwu felt relieved. But before waiting for her more relaxed moment, just relaxed stomach is a burst of pain. The dark child no longer pain, but more strongly want to come out. Well, Cloud Dance snorted, just gripping his teeth and grasping the grass under him. Small Potatoes see Cloud Dance pain again, subconsciously want to help Cloud Dance, but his strength just savings, was stopped by Cloud Dance. Don't Little Potato, you can't help. Cloud Dance complexion pale of say, the stomach is still a burst of pain, but she knows she must stop Small Potato. Little Potato doesn't know anything about childbirth, or even how to help Yunwu. In his opinion, it's no different from injury. He's afraid that he just wants to save energy to help Yunwu heal. But now Yunwu doesn't need healing. Little Potato, listen, you are now far away from me. Try not to let those bright breath too close to me. Until the first child after coming out, you will take me to go to the pool. Yunwu finished a sentence intermittently, and then came a sharp pain. Finally, Yunwu could not help but scream again. Gigi goo goo. Small Potato said a lot of messy words, hurriedly listened to the words of Cloud Dance, went to one side to stay, but from time to time turned to look at two eyes, always pay attention to the movement of Cloud Dance, for fear that she had a problem. Yunwu has no mind to manage all this. She only knows that she has a bad stomachache. She can clearly feel that a child is trying to get out of the room, but she doesn't have enough strength. Uterine contraction in bursts, like to squeeze out the child in general. Each contraction brings severe pain. Such a small channel has to let such a big child come out. Yunwu is in a terrible pain. At this time, she misses the doctor incomparably. If only a doctor who can operate at this time would come directly to take out the child for her. But everything is empty talk. The child is still struggling to climb out. Cloud Dance a few times, then no strength. Uterine contraction temporarily stopped. The dark child has not come out, eager to cry inside. Yunwu was worried and knew that if it went on like this, he was afraid that the dark child would suffocate in it. I must give birth to the child. Yunwu burst out in an instant. A low roar came out of his voice. He stifled his breath and forced his lower body again. The contraction of the uterus immediately recovered. Even because of Yunwu's efforts, it was even more severe than before. The dark child first came out, then little body bit by bit came out, until all came out. Yunwu had no strength. It's just giving birth to a child. It's even more tiring than fighting for a long time. Da-da. As soon as the dark child was born, he didn't cry. Instead, he looked around curiously and giggled. His little body was still pulling a long umbilical cord. Small potato eyes to see these quickly flew forward, around the child, curious to fly 2 circles, and then click, a bite of the child's umbilical cord. Then, no matter what happened to the child, little potato quickly took Yunwoo and carefully put her in the hot spring. Yunwoo felt that her almost broken body was immediately wrapped up in warmth, while another child in her stomach showed no sign of being born. After entering the hot spring, she began to absorb the light. Do you have to have 2 children twice? This is Yunwoo's last thought before he fell asleep, and then he fell asleep completely. The little potato had been exhausted for a long time, but he was still forced to fly. Seeing that the newborn child was okay, a bright light flew out of his forehead and entered his forehead, adding a layer of boundary to the cave. Then he fell asleep on the edge of the hot spring. Fairyland. Gurgling water, birds singing, wind singing, fairy gas transpiration from the mountains, until the air dissipated. Dragon Qingxia lies in an array, pale and thin, with black hair scattered around, dancing with the pure energy around. There are white walls and white curtains flying around the bed. Around Long Qingxia, there are 5 people with black hair and white clothes sitting on their knees. The energy is sent out from their palms, and the clothes are windless. Circles of radiant energy slowly disappear in front of Long Qingxia. They are forcibly cleaning the memory of the dragon. The pure energy flows into the body slowly, but it is resisted instinctively by the dragon. 5 people around suddenly open their eyes. I didn't expect that his willpower was so strong. After so long, he still had consciousness. A man in white frowned at the dragon with closed eyes. No harm. A man in the middle, who seems to be highly respected, said, no matter how strong our consciousness is, it's only temporary. We just need to do what we should do. He will lose one day. The others nodded, closed their eyes again, gurgled energy, and bathed the whole room in warmth. With the loss of time, Long Qingxia finally felt that something in his mind was slowly disappearing. I seem to be forgetting something. Long Qingxia thought in his heart. Suddenly he was in a trance. Here we go again. Then the dragon fell into a deep sleep. There's no last word. The 5 people around finally let out their breath. They looked very serious and didn't leave. A man sighed. Today is over. Eliminating the memory of dragons, evil spirits consumed too much of their energy, and several of them were all tired, pale and decadent. All of a sudden, the dragon in front of him trembled violently. Although he had already eliminated his memory, he suddenly seemed to remember something. His mouth moved and the word child came out faintly. Child, children, little guy, my child. Long Qingxia repeated mechanically, and his eyes were full of pain. Dragon Qingxia trembled violently, like a volcano about to erupt, and his black energy overflowed, slowly surrounded him. Several people were surprised and couldn't move their eyes. But for a moment, the dragon suddenly stopped again, and fell to the ground without any sound. In the white room, there was silence and no one spoke. What's going on? 5 people looked at each other. Lying in the middle of the house, Dragon Qingxia exudes light energy. For a long time, it slowly disappears. I think we have to consult the elder about this kind of thing. In the hot spring, the steam is steaming, the smoke is curling, the steaming clouds are dancing, and the face is red. Yunwoo is lying in the warm water, bursts of heat rising. She can't help but close her eyes, bursts of collapse, suddenly feel unprecedented fatigue. After giving birth to a child, she felt that her body had been almost torn. At this time, her whole body felt weak and painful. She couldn't help her heavy eyes. After a while, she tilted her head and fell asleep. After a while, Yunwoo opened her eyes and looked up to see her child. But the whole hot spring did not hear any children crying. In the heart is still strange, his child has been born, but why did not come crying? Sit up in a hurry. At this time, Yunwoo suddenly saw that a chubby child was crawling on the ground not far in front of him. His little hand was patting on the ground, and he was still climbing unsteadily. Suddenly he saw something on the ground, bit his finger and sat down. Why? The baby poked left and right and suddenly giggled. The baby is very lovely. The little potato is lying on the side of his head, sleeping sweetly. He also shakes his wings and smacks his mouth from time to time. Yunwoo looks at the baby in front of him, and suddenly he can't help laughing. He feels soft in his heart. The baby is very obedient, and suddenly feels that all the pain he has suffered has been resolved in the moment he sees his child. Yunwoo's laughter disturbed the little baby's game. Her hand suddenly stopped, and she turned her head. She had been focusing on something on the ground. At this time, her big round eyes were looking at Yunwoo without blinking. She tilted her head and seemed to be thinking about something. Yunwoo saw the little stone in the baby girl's hand and sighed. "Come here, child." The baby may not understand. She suddenly tilted her head. A face-puzzled look at the cloud. Yunwoo was a little stunned. The child didn't look like a newborn baby. It might have been several months old. What is the feeling of a newborn child? Not only from the body shape but also from the intelligence. Cloud Dance sighed again. Helpless smile. Own child. How can be very happy? Da-da. The baby's mouth spit out a vague words. Sounds very immature. Sitting on the edge of the hot spring opposite the Cloud Dance. Watching the Cloud Dance for a long time. Biting his fingers thinking for a while. Suddenly sitting on the ground. Open his hands. Big. Young voice line. Only open mouth closed voice. But cute appearance. Already let Cloud Dance want to hold her in the arms. She must have recognized me as her mother. With tears in his eyes and joy in his heart, he quickly reached out and wanted to hold the child over. Little Potato suddenly shakes his body, like a dream, suddenly soars into the sky, then bangs, bumps into the stone above, and then plops into the hot spring. The little wings trembled. Then they opened their big watery eyes. They looked confused and stretched their body. Looking at Yunwoo's smile, they suddenly turned into a ray of light and flew to the baby. Then the baby was brought to Yunwoo's arms by the little potato. Soaking in the warm spring, the warm air smoked Yunwoo's cheeks red. Yunwoo lowered his head, looking at the soft little body laughing in his arms. "Child, my child." Yunwoo's pale face showed a satisfied smile. The baby's small hand gently grasps her arm, raises her head, a pair of watery eyes blink, then smiles at Yunwoo. Hugs Yunwoo's neck and gnaws on Yunwoo's mouth. Yunwoo, who was gnawed with saliva, reluctantly grabbed the baby and held it in his arms. He watched the baby eat his hands in his arms and looked around curiously. The tender skin seemed to be broken by blowing. Yunwoo could not help poking the baby's face. It was like a boiled egg, full of elasticity. Lowering his head, Yunwoo approached the baby, smiling lovingly, touching the baby's nose with the tip of his nose. The baby blinked, and the long eyelashes swept Yunwoo's face, itching. Yunwoo held back her smile and gently kissed the baby's face. It was cute, soft and lovely. The baby looks like a dragon with evil spirits. It's beautiful and charming. I was just born so charming. If I grow up, I will definitely be more beautiful than your father. Cloud Dance heart joy, but also think of the dragon pour evil up. No matter what time to accompany in his side of the man. Clearly children are born, he is not around. Yunwoo's heart suddenly shook his head and forced him to press down these pessimistic thoughts. "Son, I will find your father." Cloud Dance pursed lips, firmly said. "Da-da." The baby's voice came again. A pair of small hands kept patting the water surface of the hot spring. They played happily. From time to time, they made a sound of paw and paw. The water droplets splashed on the body of Yunwoo and the child's face, causing a burst of giggle laughter. Yunwoo suddenly remembered that this child is dark, but now he is in such a bright and warm place. Will it hurt him? With this in mind, Yunwoo observed the child carefully, and found that although the child did not absorb the surrounding energy, it was not affected at all. Just like an insulator, Yunwoo let the child play in the water. Finally, the child, tired of playing, lying on the body of Cloud Dance, quietly fell asleep. Soaking in the hot spring, the rolling bright energy, along with the hot spring fog, layer by layer, Cloud Dance also because of soaking in the hot spring, although still thin, but the face has become ruddy. Open your eyes and look at the top of your head. You can see the stone wall wrapped by fog. He breathed, closed his eyes and fell asleep. sitting on one side of the small potato, turned to see Yunwu, big eyes round blink, jump to Yunwu's hair, shrink into a ball, also close their eyes. The baby babbled and put on her fingers, showing a sweet smile. Fairyland. Elder. Long Qingxie is so strange. No matter how hard we try, there is no way to make him unconscious. 5 men in white, with haggard faces, knelt down in front of the elder and sighed. Those who stood by the temple gathered around and whispered. They were all curious about this strange foreigner. Lying in the array, Long Qingxie tightly closed his eyes and tried to open them. He could feel the light outside his eyes and the rolling energy from around him. The energy in this place was so abundant that it didn't belong to the human world. Why don't we just force him to improve his kung fu and erase his memory today? Suddenly someone said. There was a thump in the dragon's heart. It will hurt him a lot, but we have to do the same. Another sighed. Then, 5 people sit down one after another, and form a circle to surround the dragon in the middle. Turning to look out of the window, a man in white frowned, pondered for a moment, and then said, "It's not time yet. Long Qingxie is anxious in his heart. They want to erase my memory by force." The anger went straight to the top of the head, and suddenly turned into black energy, which suddenly gushed out of the body. My God, this man is terrible. We're not waiting. Let's move quickly. This guy always feels like something's going to happen. A person murmured. A few people also nodded seriously, closed their eyes, stretched out their hands. After a while, the energy from the 5 people began to slowly inject into the dragon's evil body. The sun, as they closed their eyes, gradually moved to the top of the mountain. The light of the sun became dim in the blink of an eye. The whole valley was suddenly full of energy. Today is the most full-bodied time of the month, and today's noon is the most full-bodied time of the day. The dark energy sweeping all over the sky, because it is too abundant, forms thick black clouds in the sky. Finally, it can't bear it. The energy actually condenses into drops and falls in the mountains. It seems to be willing to absorb the dark energy. In an instant, the trees and plants in the whole valley are all new, just like when spring is just growing. They are all in full bloom. In the valley, amazing beauty. In this vast and majestic building, an energy rain dominated by dark energy is pouring down. No one can help walking out of the house, sitting on the wide square, quietly practicing. 5 people in the room can't help but smile at the corners of their mouths. The energy fog permeates in from the window, and the whole house is foggy with dense energy fog. In 5 people's bodies, the energy is suddenly strengthened, and the white clothes are flying fiercely. Around the dragon is angry. How can these people's energy suddenly become so strong? However, the dark energy, also from the air, slowly into the dragon's body. Dragon feels his body is gradually strong. Several people suddenly increased their energy. Before Long Qingxie had time to prepare, he felt that the energy entering the body increased sharply, and suddenly he had a headache. Well, he frowned painfully and could not help humming. Several people were very happy when they heard that, and continued to transmit energy. With the blessing of 5 people's energy, Long Qingxie's body slowly breaks away from the ground. In mid-air, Long Qingxie's head is powerless and his limbs are slightly drooping, while his clothes and hair are dancing in the energy. 5 people's clothes are also windless, hair fluttering around. They frown, concentrate in still energy. The secret way in Long Qingxie's heart was in trouble. Just as he wanted to resist, he suddenly thought that every time he resisted, they would redouble their efforts. In this case, why ask for trouble? So they suppress their anger, hide their breath, and collect their energy into their bodies. The first time I saw that Long Qingxie didn't resist in his consciousness, the 5 people were very happy. When they opened their eyes, they all saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Looking down at Long Qingxie, he was lying on the ground, motionless, but breathing steadily. So did it work? One of them stepped forward carefully and touched the dragon's evil face. Suddenly, Long Qingxie frowned and reached for the man's hand. Ah! The man was so scared that he almost shook off the hand of dragon's evil spirit. His voice trembled. He quickly hid behind a man and looked at dragon's evil spirit carefully. At this time he seemed to cry. This man is so strange. Is he awake? The 5 men's faces suddenly became serious. They all picked up their weapons and aimed at the dragon in the center. Finally, Long Qingxia felt the scenery inside him, suddenly torn from his eyes from black to white. Well. A flash of light suddenly flashed, and suddenly stabbed the dragon. He could not help but close his eyes, frowned, and put his hand on his eyes. Finally, his voice was as hoarse as a saw. Where is this? The most timid of the 5 people was stunned, and they didn't slow down. The other people were so shocked that they couldn't help themselves. You, what's the matter with you? Dragon Qing Evil. See, a few people don't speak, can't help but sigh. Didn't wait for a few people to reply. Support the body hard to sit up, whirl. You. One of them, a man in white, went to Long Qingxia, poked him carefully and said boldly, Are you okay? The dragon pours evil. Long Qingxia was slightly stunned. Then he looked down at his hand in surprise. Then he looked up at the person in front of him in surprise. What did you just call me? Several people smell speech, immediately overjoyed, busy forward, squat in front of Dragon Qing Evil. You amnesia? Long Qingxia looked at several people with a confused face and didn't know why. Those people were very happy to see this, but they didn't see the smile of evil spirit in Long Qingxia's eyes. Today, little potatoes and babies are still killing time in all kinds of boredom, one in the pool and the other in midair. Big. The baby picked up a small stone from the ground, sat on the ground and threw it at the small potatoes in the sky, opening his mouth and laughing happily. Little Potato's eyes are full of anger. His round body and bulging cheeks make him more round. His small wings flicker and dodge the stones. When the baby saw this, she frowned and seemed very angry. She raised her head and yelled at the little potato flying in the sky. She frowned and pursed her mouth. She was about to shed tears. Small potatoes see this, instantly droop his small wings, turn to see the clouds, hang down his head, and then a rock slammed into the small potatoes. Small potatoes plop into the water, causing the baby to giggle. Yunwu looked at them with her gills, laughing helplessly and spoiling them. Why? The baby seemed to see something funny. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he crawled towards a corner. Yunwu sighs with a smile, but he doesn't stop it. However, little potato is not at ease. He quickly follows up with his eyes wide open and looks at the baby anxiously. Yes, there is going to leave the border to protect this hot spring. Little potato looked at the baby, frowned together, turned and looked at Yunwu, but saw that Yunwu had fallen asleep on the edge of the hot spring. Eye full of worry, his small potatoes gather energy to reinforce a layer of seal, but see the baby has climbed out, disappeared in front of him. Little potato was startled and quickly disappeared on the border. Jade returns to the mountain. In the deepest building, the patriarch is sitting on the futon with his eyes closed to practice. The rich atmosphere of light around him provides a lot of convenience for the practice. After a long time, the patriarch opened his eyes and his deep eyes were full of dignity. The light, why do you feel weaker and weaker? The Lord held out his hand and grasped something in the air. The breath of light twined around his fingertips. The Lord slowly gathered the breath of light around him, and then released it. How could it be so weak? Finished just now all, the patriarch said in surprise. Originally thought he felt wrong, but this trial found that the change is far more serious than his guess. Newspaper dash, outside the door. There came the voice of the disciples of Yu Guishan. The patriarch took back his hand, changed his solemn face and said harshly, Come in. Crunch. A disciple of Yu Guishan in a jade dress opened the door, went straight to the Lord, bowed down, saluted and said respectfully, Tell the Lord. All the damaged parts of the border have been repaired completely. The elders have checked the whole border again, and no other loopholes have been found. The Lord got the news, his face softened a little, nodded and said, I know, you go down. Yes, the disciple in jade clothes answered and turned to leave. The voice of the patriarch came from behind the clinker. Wait a minute. The patriarch suddenly thought of something, and quickly stopped the people. What do you want from the Lord? The disciple quickly turned around and asked the patriarch. These days I want you to step up your patrols. Have you ever found anyone suspicious? The patriarch asked. Somehow, he thought of what he saw when he went to the hot spring cave. He thought it was strange, but he couldn't tell what it was. Back to the Lord, no suspicious person was found. The disciple thought for a while and then replied, "Did strangers ever come in and out? Not yet. Not even from other schools?" No, the disciple's reply was a pause. The elder ordered that Wuxia had housework to deal with during this period of time, so there were no guests, so no outsiders came. The patriarch frowned and waved to let the disciple leave, but he fell into deep doubt. No suspicious people were found, and no outsiders came in and out of the clan. Is it just an accident that someone broke the border? Or is the man still hiding somewhere in the mountain gate yet to be found? But if so, who can hide in Wuxia Mountain for such a long time? After thinking for a long time, the patriarch could not get an answer. Finally, he had to sigh and force himself to continue to practice. He felt the bright atmosphere around him. The patriarch prayed in his heart that he could get an answer from the bright atmosphere. The border of Wuxia Mountain has a strong defensive power, and can even be used as an attack when someone controls it. It is said that it was built by combining ancient array, and the hot spring in the hot spring cave provides energy for the border. The patriarch sat on the futon alone for a long time, but he couldn't find the direction of the bright breath. When he was upset, he didn't continue to practice anymore. He pushed the door to see what happened after the border was repaired. Good Lord! Good Lord! Along the way, countless Wuxia's disciples said hello to the patriarch, but he just walked forward without words, at most nodded. It seems to see that the master is in a bad mood. The disciples of Wuxia consciously do not disturb him. After they politely ask good questions, they hide away and do their own things. The patriarch came to the place where he found the loophole in the border, before he finally stopped. He happened to meet the elder, a white-haired old man, who was standing here. The power of the border is getting weaker and weaker. The elder turned his back to the patriarch, stroked his beard and said to the patriarch, his eyes full of inquiry. The patriarch was stunned. Is the power of the border weak? Is it affected by the weakening of the light in the air? Thinking of this, the Lord stepped forward and put his hand on the border. When the fingertip touched the border, the master's pupil shrank and his eyes were full of disbelief. This is the origin of the border. There is something wrong with it. The root strength of the boundary comes from the hot spring. If there is a problem in the origin, it is the hot spring that has a problem. The elder's eyes were always on the border. Even after hearing the words of the patriarch, he was still expressionless, as if he had known for a long time, and could not see his surprise. The patriarch's brows were tightly twisted together, and the picture of searching the cave that day came back to his mind. No, I have to see it again. Having said that, the patriarch immediately turned around, and went straight to the hot spring cave. In the hot spring cave, Little Potato and Little Fat Girl don't know where to play for a long time. Yunwu is still pregnant with a child, and now it's about the production period. It's rare to have such a good place, so Yunwu wants to stay more days. Today, even if only Yunwu is alone, she is still in the hot spring with her clothes. She is enjoying the spring water leisurely, with her abdomen bulging, and looks very comfortable. Compared with the day of birth, now she has a ruddy complexion, much better spirit and body. Well, is someone coming again? Cloud Dance felt a strange breath is constantly close, immediately opened his eyes have been closed. These days there are always patrol people close to this side from time to time, but no one steps into the cave. The border set by Little Potato always exists, so Yunwu doesn't feel particularly worried, but it will keep some vigilance. But it seems that the patrol is not coming today, because there is only one person's footstep. Cloud Dance narrowed her eyes. Her bulging abdomen made her unwilling to move. She looked up at the border set by Little Potato, and the border left by her body to hide her breath and body shape. Cloud Dance relaxed herself. You won't be found out. Little Potato is still very powerful. With this in mind, Yunwu was relieved to stay in the hot spring. The footstep is getting closer and closer, and finally stops at the entrance of the cave. Cloud Dance's heart clattered for a while, and a bad premonition surged into my heart. Just when Yunwu thought that it was better to find a place to hide first, the footsteps would ring again. This time, the other party stepped into the cave without hesitation. The hot spring cave is still the same as what the Lord saw when he came to the cave last time. It is full of vitality, full of bright atmosphere. Wisps of white smoke rise from the hot spring, and the bright atmosphere of the outside world becomes thin, but it seems to be more intense here. The cloud dances in the hot spring and looks at the visitors across the 2 layers of boundary. At this time, she did not dare to act rashly. She didn't know why. She always felt that there was a dangerous smell on the visitors. How come the energy here has become rich? Has the hot spring changed? The line of sight of the Lord swept through the cave, and finally stayed in the hot spring. It seems that he hesitated for a moment, but he still raised his foot and went straight to the hot spring, squatting down at the edge. The distance between Yunwu and the Lord is only 1 zhang away, so you can clearly see every tiny expression on the Lord's face. Yunwu held his breath and didn't know anything. Mingming knew that there was a barrier in his heart. He couldn't see and feel himself, but he was nervous, as if he would be found if he moved more. Hot springs have absorbed all the light in the mountain gate. The patriarch frowned tightly, and then put out a hand into the hot spring. The warm spring water wrapped his fingertips, and countless bright breath penetrated into the Lord's body along the fingertips. Just don't know how, in the past all toward the fingertips of the breath, but now only a small part of the drill over. More is to stay in the distance. The eyes of the patriarch suddenly raised, and a pair of deep eyes suddenly looked at the position of cloud dance. Who are you? How dare you invade the holy spring of Yuguishan without permission? The patriarch's cold eyes fixed on the location of Yunwu and said coldly, as if he could see the existence of Yunwu. The bright breath of the whole body was directly mobilized. Just like the night before the storm, silent but extremely depressed. Yunwu's heart jumps violently and he wants to stand up and leave. Yu Guang touches the border left by Little Potato and makes himself calm down. As if he didn't hear the words of the Lord, he still sits in the hot spring, but he has made a defensive appearance. Once the Lord changes again, she can leave the hot spring at the first time. Oh! The patriarch sneered, as if mocking the cloud dance, and said, "Do you think it's safe to have the border?" The eyes of the patriarch radiate the light of Morihan, and the hands put into the hot spring slowly come out. Yes, he can't see or even feel the cloud dance. But when he put his hand into the hot spring and felt the bright breath of the hot spring, he already understood that there was a more special existence in the hot spring, so that more parts of the bright breath of the hot spring didn't come to him, and he was inferring the location of cloud dance from this point. "Since you don't want to show up, don't blame me," the master said, his hands slowly raised, and the bright atmosphere in the whole cave was ready to move at the moment when he began to exercise. Cloud dance eyebrow a jump. In the heart bad premonition is very strong. At this moment she has completely understood. In front of this person is not joking. At the moment the palm of the hand turned, the ancient martial arts sword appeared in the hand instantly, and the pregnant belly was high and high. When the patriarch's pressure came towards Yunwu, there was something abnormal in his belly. The master's hands were held high, and the bright atmosphere in the whole cave condensed with his actions into one invisible existence like water drops, floating in the air. The master's hands clapped together. At that moment, countless water drops burst in the air. Yunwu was caught off guard and rushed to pack himself with fighting spirit. The purple fighting spirit formed a protective layer, but he was vulnerable to such a powerful force of the Yuguishan patriarch. The sound of crackling is constantly ringing in the air, clearly invisible to the naked eye, but Yunwu can clearly feel the powerful energy. The defense formed by purple fighting spirit, together with the border bang, set by Little Potato, was broken. At this moment, Yunwu's figure was completely exposed in the eyes of the patriarch. In the distance, Little Potato, who is playing with Little Fat Girl, suddenly feels something. He flies over and catches Little Fat Girl, who is still rolling on the ground. Without saying a word, he rushes to the hot spring cave. "Who are you? Why do you want to enter the forbidden area of Yuguishan? How did you get in?" The patriarch's eyes narrowed slightly, looking at the figure in the hot spring. Yunwu in the hot spring was wearing a white dress. because she had been in the hot spring for a long time. She was full of light. Her body seemed to radiate light, and her abdomen was high. If she didn't have an ancient sword in her hand, it would make people wonder if she had been thrown in. The patriarch squinted and looked carefully, trying to feel the strength of Cloud Dance, but it didn't matter. The final result made him angry instantly. "You are a mortal woman." The patriarch's not-so-good-looking look became more gloomy. "Mortal?" Cloud Dance frowned and did not answer, but thought in his heart. Is the mortal world in his mouth human? If you are talking about the human world, are you in the fairyland now? That's ridiculous. The patriarch saw that she didn't answer for a long time, and the look in her eyes was even colder. "How can I be touched by you, a mortal woman, in the holy spring, the forbidden area of my beautiful mountain? If I don't kill you, how can I meet all the masters in Yuguishan?" Having said that, the Lord's right hand turned, and a silver sword appeared in his hand. The sword was wrapped with a strong smell of light, which looked like a holy sword. However, the Lord Mingming just took it out, and did not deliberately lead the smell of light to it. However, Yunwu didn't have time to look at all this. As soon as the patriarch finished his sentence, he put his left hand on the edge of the hot spring and left the hot spring. She just had a big stomach and was inconvenient to move. She was going to stay far away or escape, but the patriarch just stood in the direction of the cave. Because she was pregnant, she didn't have the sensitivity of the past, so she just stood on the side. At this time, the Lord's attack had arrived. With a sound of shoo, the long sword on the Lord's hand flew straight to the cloud-dancing face. The wind of the sword was like a sword, and it was as strong as a bamboo. Yunwu knows that he is not the opponent of the patriarch. This attack seems casual, but if he really wants to resist, he may not have it at all. At the moment, Yunwu quickly flashed to one side, but the speed of the sword was so fast that it flew over her shoulder with a schwa. The sharp blade cut a hole in Yunwu's body in an instant, and the blood flowed out. Well, Cloud Dance hums. Compared with before, her resistance to pain is much lower. I don't know if it's an illusion. She feels faint pain coming from her abdomen, as if she is about to give birth. Don't be born at this time. Cloud Dance in the heart of helpless think. It's no wonder that you, a mortal woman, dare to come to this fairy jade mountain. You really have 2 talents, and you can avoid my attack. With a wave of his hand, the flying sword came back to his side, suspended in the air, as if it might fly out again at any time. Jade back to the mountain? Cloud Dance repeated in a low voice. The pain in the abdomen is more obvious. Sorry, I don't know where it is. At the beginning, it was only by chance that I could hide here. If there is any disturbance, please forgive me. By chance? After hearing her words, the patriarch's face was still expressionless. He obviously didn't believe her words at all. The border of Yuguishan used a special array to build on this holy spring. If you just ran here by chance, how could you have such a great ability to destroy the border in a panic? Yunwu's brow wrinkled. She really didn't know how she got here. She only vaguely remembered that little potato broke the border that day, and she was so painful that her memory was a little vague. How could she pay attention to these? But when the patriarch asked, she didn't know how to answer. The Lord stood quietly in front of her. The long sword was shining, waiting for her answer. As the suzerain leader of Yuguishan, her strength can be regarded as the top. Naturally, it can be seen that the strength of the woman in front of her is not enough to break the barrier. Someone must be helping her. Now he just wants Yunwu to say who that person is, and where he is. I can't tell why. Yunwu shook his head after a long silence. The patriarch's eyes sank. In that case, don't blame me for being rude. Having said that, the patriarch moved his hand again. As soon as his gesture changed, the sword that stayed by his side moved again. This blow, compared with the last one, is the difference between heaven and earth. Yunwu tries to distinguish where the sword flies, but she finds that her eyes can't catch the trace of the sword, and what makes her feel helpless is that her body can't move. What a powerful pressure! Yunwu was shocked. The master's strength was as strong as knight's. Just as Yunwu watched the sword fly towards him, thinking that he would die, a small figure suddenly appeared in front of him. At the next moment, I felt that my whole body was light, and then I suppressed my authority, and it was no longer there. Then I saw that the little figure was a little potato coming back. Little potato! Cloud Dance exclaimed in surprise. There was no time to feel the joy of escaping from the edge of life and death. Warm liquid flowed out between her legs. The amniotic fluid is broken. Unexpectedly, I gave birth to a broken amniotic fluid, and there is amniotic fluid in the back gabble. Small potato mouth said messy language. A pair of small eyes, but not polite, in the face of the flying sword, directly rushed past, like to vent all their anger. He just left for a while, dared to hurt his master. How absurd! Small body with a strong momentum directly rushed up. The original momentum of the sword even in contact with the small potato body. Bang sound as if installed on a hard stone in general. The next moment, the original power wrapped in the sword disappeared, and the long sword bang fell to the ground. You are. The patriarch was shocked and looked at the little guy who was staring at him angrily in front of him. He was so surprised that he could not speak. He frowned and thought for a long time before he finally remembered. You are the offspring of the poor and strange people. However, as soon as his words were finished, a small figure came running over and stopped by the side of little potato. Round body is full of mud, but it can be seen that it is a small child, a pair of watery eyes also staring at him, clearly a child, even looks like an emperor. Big. Big. The little fat girl waved her little fist, but she couldn't speak. She kept on saying something. It was supposed to be full of comic effect, but the patriarch couldn't laugh at all, because he felt the unprecedented dark atmosphere in the child. Darkness and light, from yin to yang, restrain each other and cannot coexist. Where the son of darkness goes, there will be light. Darkness takes over light, life is ruined, all things are destroyed, and heaven and earth are no longer. The ancient and dignified warning reverberated in the master's mind, which made him cool. Darkness takes over light, life is ruined, all things are destroyed, heaven and earth are no longer. The patriarch only felt that at this moment he seemed to have foreseen what the future would be like. A terrible picture. The son of darkness appeared, but the son of light did not have any sign. Was the day coming in the language? You are the son of darkness. The patriarch looked at the little fat girl in front of him in shock, and the words in his mouth fell into the ears of little potato and little fat girl, but they did not understand the meaning of these three words. Ah! Yunwu's scream instantly attracted the attention of the three people in the confrontation. They turned around one after another, and saw that Yunwu had completely lying on the ground, and his bulging stomach contracted in bursts, which turned out to be the appearance of childbirth. When the patriarch's eyes touched her abdomen again, the eyes that were full of despair suddenly flashed a burst of light. Who else can have such a strong breath besides the son of light? Goo 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 goo. Little potato quickly turned around to Cloud Dance's side, looking at her painful appearance, anxiously flying back and forth. Put her in the hot spring. The patriarch who had been confronting them just now suddenly opened his mouth. Although his words were still light, there was no doubt about it. His eyes were always on Yunwu's stomach. Cloud Dance endured the pain, and looked at the Lord in white. Some of them didn't know why they wanted to hurt the killer, but now they wanted to help themselves. But it's too late to think more. I have a lot of pain in my stomach. I also know that it's the best choice to enter the hot spring at this time. Goo goo. Little potato doesn't listen to the Lord. In his opinion, this man is a bad man. He can't believe what he says. Until Yunwu breathlessly said, Little potato, take me go to the hot spring. Little potato pulled Cloud Dance up and slowly put it into the hot spring. The warm water envelopes her body, and the strong bright breath continuously rushes towards the Cloud Dancing body, which is absorbed by the children in her stomach. Gigi goo goo. Small potatoes feel the changes in the body of Cloud Dance, happily flying around her. Da-da. Little fat girl also ran past with a pair of short legs, lying on the edge of the hot spring, curiously stretching her head and looking at the reaction of Cloud Dance, with a pair of watery big eyes open, as if to welcome the arrival of younger brother and sister. Yuguishin's patriarch's attention is attracted by the little fat girl, and finally transferred from Yunwu to the little fat girl. At this time, the patriarch thought of the language and the warning handed down from generation to generation. If light suppresses darkness, all things will be born, and life will be happy. When darkness suppresses light, chaos changes and heaven and earth merge. If you see the son of darkness one day, don't be merciful. You must cut down the grass to protect all things. The teachings of Yuguishan's masters kept circling, reminding him again and again what to do. Now the opportunity is in front of him, and he is still a dark son who has not yet grown up. The Lord's eyes sank and finally made up his mind. The right hand quickly raised. The sword flew up again. The holy light instantly released, while the little potato and Cloud Dance were not on guard, directly stabbed to the little fat girl. I'm sorry, the Lord said silently in his heart. The sword is shining white, as cold as the moon. Little fat girl is unprepared. She doesn't even know when the sword wind is coming. Whoosh! A long sword across, small potatoes issued a rapid Gigi sound. The figure flashed directly in front of the little fat girl. This sword contains all the strength of the patriarch. Although he knows that little fat girl has not yet grown up, he dare not ignore the teachings handed down by the ancestors of all the masters. If he fails, it will be very difficult for him to find another chance. In this way, how can he not do his best? Bang! A small potato temporary summoned. The border can't resist the Lord's full force. When the two collide, a loud bang, the whole energy in the cave will shake up. The border of little potato is broken. And then the sword wind keeps on stabbing at little potato. Gigi dash! The little potato screamed, which made Cloud Dance's whole blood coagulate. The long sword on his fingertip stabbed the little potato's body. When the sword was about to come, with the little potato's scream, he made a layer of border in front of him, just like the last piece of armor. The sword slammed, and the little potato flew out like a little beast with broken wings. And the border on his body was broken again. The master stepped out step by step and quickly reached out his hand to catch him, but he just stopped. He is the patriarch of Yuguishan, and has the obligation to kill the son of darkness, but he does not intend to hurt the innocent. If it is said that Yunwu wanted to kill Yuguishan in the first place because of the rule that the forbidden area of Holy Spring should not be touched by ordinary people, then later when he knew that Yunwu was pregnant with the son of light, he didn't have this idea, let alone kill the descendants of this poor and strange people. But he knew better that if he caught him, it would be difficult for him to attack the son of darkness. As a result, he watched the little potato fly out, banging against the mountain wall, and then landing heavily on the ground. "Da-da!" the little fat girl exclaimed. She crawled toward the little potato with both hands and feet. She was only a few months old, but she moved very quickly. But she climbed to the little potato's side in an instant. The patriarch wanted to continue to work, but he only heard the sound of hua. Unexpectedly, Yunwu stood up from the hot spring. "If you dare to touch her again, I will not spare you." Gu Wu's sword is in his hand. The voice of Cloud Dance is cold and resolute. His beautiful eyes are full of murderous chi. Although he has a big stomach, he still has strong pressure. The black flame is burning on the ancient sword, and the clouds are dancing step by step out of the hot spring. The bare feet on the ground leave marks mixed with blood. Between her legs, there is a mixture of amniotic fluid and blood constantly sliding down. The pupil of the patriarch shrunk, and his eyes looked at her stomach from the moment Yunwu appeared. This woman suddenly appeared mysteriously in the hot spring. The patriarch felt very strange. Why is she clearly immortal with a bright sun in her stomach? Why is she clearly pregnant with the son of light, but to protect the son of darkness? All, let's Jade's son return have to face up to the woman in front of. Don't say is again moved to kill heart. At this time if he just want to make clear all things. Who the hell are you? The Lord frowned and looked at the Cloud Dance. Although Yunwu was nervous, she still kept calm. She was covered with fighting spirit. Gu Wu's broadsword was lying horizontally in front of the little fat girl. She pursed her mouth tightly, and her eyes didn't blink. "And who are you?" She looked very embarrassed. The red and white liquid between her legs kept flowing down, and her face was pale, but she didn't feel any retreat. The always hard-hearted patriarch was touched by some inexplicable feelings. I didn't expect that the woman who had just been under his hands could be so strong. After a long silence, The patriarch seemed to have finally put down his identity. He replied faintly, "My name is Yuzigi. I'm the master here." As soon as the voice fell, there was a rush of footsteps coming from the entrance of the cave, and they came in neat. A moment later, a team of Yuguishan bodyguards came in, standing behind Yuzigi. "Lord, this woman." Yuzi raised his hand and looked at the elder standing in the crowd. He sighed helplessly. "You don't have to step in." Yuzigi's subordinates are baffled. They follow the elder's orders and come here to catch the invaders. But now it seems that the patriarch wants to protect the invaders? Suddenly, the guards looked at the elder in doubt, but found that their elder was looking at the pale woman with a big belly in shock. "Elder?" the bodyguard finally asked in a voice. The voice pulled the elder out of the shock, and then he felt his gaffe. He quickly took back the sight glued to Yunwu, but he still looked at his eyes from time to time, and his eyes were full of deep. "Listen to the Lord," the elder said in a deep voice. "The water vapor from the hot spring around us mists everything around us." Little Potato jumps to Yunwu's shoulder, flapping his little wings, blinking at Yuzigui and his men. Little Fat Girl is also angry, as if threatening each other's people. "Little Potato, protect her," Cloud Dance said softly, but what she said was that she was worried about her children. At the same time, the purple fighting spirit forms a defense, and wraps itself tightly. It's very weak because it's about to give birth, but it just reminds me that the hand holding the knife can't tremble. "Oh, are there so many people?" Cloud Dance, a pair of eyes bright astonishing, looking at a group of people appeared again, sneer said. "A little girl. She doesn't care about her body. She's pregnant. She dares to do it, and she's not afraid to hurt her baby." The elder stretched out his hand and stroked the beard on his chin, and said with a smile, "If it wasn't for him, Yuzi would still look like a kind old man." "What else?" Cloud Dance said with a sneer. "Don't you want me to walk over and let you butcher me?" Such impolite words moved the faces of the guards around him. After so many years in Yuguishan, how could anyone dare to speak so impolitely to the elder? At this time, the guards began to admire the courage of Cloud Dance. But the elder didn't get angry. He still shook his head with a smile. He looked like an old man doting on his granddaughter. He said helplessly, "He's smart." Yunwu sneered and did not speak. The pain in her abdomen made her unable to delay. She was afraid that if she delayed further, the child would have an accident. Yuzigi obviously saw her to be brave, but in the face of Yunwu's strong intention to kill, he also knew that he couldn't let Yunwu listen to him. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Come on, why are you here? What's your origin? And who is the father of the child? As long as you say it, I will ask the best doctor to deliver you. Otherwise, if you go on like this, I'm afraid the baby in your stomach will be difficult to keep." "What if I don't?" Cloud Dance said with a sneer. "It's not that she has to hide something. She can answer the first two questions, but the last one, is it difficult for her to tell the story of Dragon's evil? What's more, now she is obviously in a weak position, and Little Potato has been injured because of the blow just now. If she says everything now, she is afraid that she will lose her support. For today's sake, we can only pretend to have a trump card. The power of Dragon's evil is dark. It's obviously different from these people. If Cloud Dance says it, it's uncertain that they will attack Dragon's evil." Yuzigui didn't say a word when he saw Yunwu, so he could not help frowning. If he didn't say a word, I'm afraid the current scene would be frozen all the time. Yuzigi's tone is light, there is no threat tone, even it sounds light, but it can't let people ignore his bearing. "Are you threatening me?" Cloud Dance says coldly. There is cold sweat to flow down again on forehead. "Not a threat," Yuzigi said. "I'm just saying a fact. I want to know the answers I just said. Say, the vision of Jade Sun return." Then light float of project to Cloud Dance behind of small fat girl body. Little fat girl hides behind Yunwu, sits on the ground, holds Yunwu's legs, and looks at a group of people in front of her curiously. Because of her dark nature, he is very alert to Yuzigi and others. Cloud Dance heart a sink, looking at Jade Sun return gradually cold eyes. Eyebrows also gradually wrinkled up. I don't have to tell you. Are you a member of the Bright family? Yuzigi takes back her eyes on the little fat girl and asks Yunwu. Cloud dances to pause for a while, seem to be to detect Jade's son return to put away to kill an idea. This just ordered to nod. You know, I can let you go or I can kill you. Jade's son return light of say. Since you are the person of Bright Clan, originally should be oneself person, we should not be so hostile. Because Yunwu was already very weak, and now she is too nervous, and the hot spring is steaming up, Yunwu feels a little dizzy. But in spite of this, Yunwu still didn't mean to retreat. It seemed that no matter what Yuzigi said, she would not retreat. Even when she heard Yuzigi's words, she sneered. Yuzigi was helpless, sighed, put his hand behind him and said, Since you are so firm, why don't we make a deal? What deal? I can let you out of here. Even the poor bird can leave with you. Of course, if you like, the holy spring can also be used for you to bless the safe birth of your baby. Cloud dance brow pick to pick. The condition? She doesn't believe it. The sky will really drop pie. Leave the son of darkness behind. As soon as Yuzigi said this, Yunwu suddenly became indifferent again. The ancient martial arts sword, which was originally intended to be put down, suddenly became horizontal again. Yunwu's body is full of murderous spirit for a moment. She doesn't move. She still protects the little fat girl behind her. She says in a cold voice, She's my daughter. If you want to hurt my daughter, even if you fight for her life, I won't let you go. This is her daughter? Yuzigi's heart was full of waves. Yuzigi's sight lingers on the body of little fat girl and Yunwu. It's clear that Yunwu's stomach is still big, and it looks like she is about to give birth. But this little fat girl is only a few months old, but she says it's her child. How is that possible? Generally speaking, if one is pregnant with 2 children and the 2 children are not born together, then the second child who does not come out will surely die. I don't care whose child this is, you'd better give this fat girl to me, otherwise, I'm afraid you can't bear my means. Yuzi said coldly, I believe you are not ignorant of current affairs. But Yunwu didn't listen at all, and still stood in front of the little fat girl. It seems that this little fat girl should be the dark sun who destroys the fairyland. Yuzi hesitates in his heart, and is eager to protect the calf in front of him. But if this dark sun can't be killed before he grows up, I'm afraid he will follow the prophecy and cause inevitable damage to the Light Clan. Some complex in the heart, but suddenly frown harshly way. Quickly give this child to me. Yunwu gradually narrowed his eyes, and his intention of killing suddenly came into being. He looked at Yuzigi, who was also full of killing intention in front of him. I said no one is allowed to move my child. Whoosh. There was a sudden sound around him. An ray of light flew out of Yunwu's shoulder, and immediately flew towards Yuzi's return. Yuzi couldn't help but be surprised. What a fast speed. What is this? At this time, the light just shows its real face, its little potato. Small potato circle flapping small wings, suddenly appeared in front of Yuzigi. The next second, it suddenly into a group of light, suddenly hit Yuzigi's body. Suddenly, Yuzigi has been in the same place, can't move. Cloud dance sneers. Good little potato. Suddenly, she raised her hand. Because she absorbed the power of light, the power of the sorcerer in her body suddenly rose. She aroused the power in her body and attacked Yuzi. Yuzigi, because of Zayatuda's immobility, could not move, but the people around him were surprised. This man actually used the power of the wizard of the Guangming clan. Frown tight, Jade's son return but sink into meditation, since is the person of sorcery clan. Why can have so strong kill heart? However, just for a moment, Yunwu's sword, mixed with the power of the witch family, had been cut on Yuzigi. The bright energy on Yuzi's body suddenly releases, resists part of Yunwu's strength, and also releases Zayatuda's body. All the people around gathered to see the injury of the Lord. Yuzigi frowned and stepped back. He looked down at the place where he had been cut. It only hurt his skin and blood. After all, they all belong to the light constitution. So the power of the witch family doesn't do any serious harm to Yuzi. When he turns to Yunwu, he finds that this woman's heart is really stronger than gold. Backhand will be just fixed in their own small potatoes to grasp. Jade Sun to grasp a pair of his wings, he will lift up lightway. You are capable of no small. Small potato frowned, a face of anger wriggling his round body. Want to get rid of Yuzi? Jade Sun return a light smile, shake hands to throw it out. Whoosh. Little potato has no power to resist. He draws a curve and falls to a stone. He doesn't move. Big. The little fat girl suddenly yelled, but she could not speak, but she frowned and danced. Obviously, she was still quite angry about the little potato being thrown away. She suddenly flew up and rode on Yuzigi's neck. Her face turned red and her mouth was tight. Cloud dance almost crazy. Zheng is there. This little fat girl and small potato's relationship is really good. Can't help but purse a smile. Yuzigi raised his hand, held back his anger, raised his hand and waved to the little fat girl on his neck. Little fat girl saw a pair of hands suddenly waved. Want to hit her. Anger more. Sheng suddenly opened his mouth. The mouth has no teeth grow out, but still spare no effort to bite in Yuzigi's neck. As soon as Yuzigi's face changed, his brows could not help wrinkling. The child dared to ride on Yuzigi's neck. It really makes people feel sad. Little fat girl sits on Yuzigi's neck, raises her small fist and beats Yuzigi's head hard, but the elder just stands by and looks at everything in front of her with a smile. Yuzigi couldn't bear it anymore. He was planning to take her off her neck. But suddenly in a trance he frowned, rubbed his eyes, looked forward, but found that the front is still a blur. Lord! What's the matter with you? There are hands around anxiously shouting. Jade Sun to see two hands and Big Elder in a hurry to come forward. But then he staggered for a moment, looked at the clouds in front of him in a trance, and fell to the ground with a plop. Cloud Dance can't help but open her mouth and look at little fat girl in shock. Dragon's blood has the effect of being addicted to poison. Needless to say, now little fat girl just bites Yuzi and comes home. And he's already unconscious? It seems that little fat girl's saliva is better than dragon's blood. But the little fat girl still didn't feel relieved. She continued to ride on Yuzigi, kicking, beating and biting the comatose Yuzigi. Yuzigi's entourage was surprised to see the farce. The patriarch was in a coma at this time. They turned their heads and looked at Yunwu, but they saw that Yunwu was standing there quietly. The weapons in their hands are all aimed at Yunwu, and they are all angry. Yunwu looks at the little fat girl and sighs, but the pain in her stomach has become very strong now. Yunwu presses her stomach, frowns and walks into the hot spring step by step. Little Potato stood aside, watching little fat girl's action, sighed, went forward, patted little fat girl's head with little wings. But little fat girl seems very angry. She doesn't care whether little Potato comes to her side or not. She still punches and kicks the patriarch who falls on the ground. She grunts angrily and doesn't know what to say. Little Potato is very helpless, rushed forward to drag little fat girl's body. Take her away from the Lord's side. The elder saw that the little fat girl had been taken away. He quickly came forward and helped Yuzigi up. But Yuzigi still closed his eyes and fell asleep, and didn't want to wake up at all. Tell me, what did you do to our Lord? One of the guards could not bear it at last. He stepped forward and asked carefully but fiercely. Cloud Dance were have spirit to talk with him, slowly sit into the hot spring. Little fat girl and little Potato also came to her side. A worried look at her. The elder called the guard back, frowned and motioned him not to speak. He looked down at Yuzigi, who was supported by him, and sighed. The pain in her stomach made her gasp. She raised her head and closed her eyes. The tendons on her forehead burst and her teeth clenched. Her whole body trembled violently, and her sweat rolled down from her forehead. When did the bodyguards who stood around see a woman giving birth to a child? They were embarrassed and did not dare to leave. Their faces were red, and they all stood aside at a loss. The elder's eyes suddenly radiated light. He touched his beard, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. He was very happy. Well. She groaned, clenched her teeth, and her hair was wet with sweat. Her face was pale, and she bit her lips hard, until her lips were bitten with blood, and the frequency of labor became shorter and shorter. At this time, She could feel that her stomach was about to be torn. Little fat girl and little potato's eyes are full of worry, some inexplicable anxiously watching Cloud dance. The water of the hot spring is gurgling. The warm light energy is flowing slowly in the spring. And the Cloud dance feels that everything in front of her has been empty, and the pain makes her eyes dark. Small potatoes in the Cloud next to see the abnormal anxiety. Round body in the Cloud head side to jump. Little fat girl also frowned. Fat hands in the Cloud dance is full of sweat, forehead gently wipe. Curling mouth looks very sad. She patted Cloud dance cheek. It seems that you cheer up a little. You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.